What are the best and worst Pokemon of every single type combination in the game? Let's answer this question right now. This video will not include Pokemon that are the only example of their type combination, and will also not include mono-type Pokemon. I'm also looking at this from a competitive singles angle, not doubles. Let's get right into it. First, we have the normal ground dual type combination, and the best Pokemon of this type combination is Ursaluna Blood Moon. Ursaluna Blood Moon is an incredible Pokemon. It's one of those Pokemon that almost feels like a legendary even though it's not. This remarkable bear is an excellent bulky attacker. It has a great HP and defense stat and a great special attack. Ursaluna Blood Moon has the tremendous ability Mind's Eye, which allows its fighting and normal type attacks to hit Ghost, and also means its accuracy can't be lowered. And this Pokemon has the excellent signature move Blood Moon, which has an enormous 140 power with 100% accuracy. To offset the extraordinary power of this move, it has a drawback. It cannot be selected twice in a row, which is quite a significant drawback, but the move is so good anyway that it doesn't matter very much, especially because this move can hit Ghost types. And with further special attacking options like Earth Power, Hyper Voice for a more consistent normal type attack without a drawback, and Vacuum Wave as well, for some priority that can hit Ghosts, it's no surprise that Ursaluna Blood Moon is an Ubers ranked individual. This could be the most powerful fictional bear of all time, in fact, except for maybe Bear in the Big Blue House, who has a claim, but we'd have to organize a 1v1 between them to determine this for sure. And the worst Pokemon with the normal ground type combination is Diggersby, an often forgotten rabbit Pokemon who is sort of freakish looking, with fists for ears. Diggersby, as far as a worst Pokemon of a type combination goes, is not that terrible. It's a decent breaker in Gen 6 OU. It has the ability Huge Power, which grants it double attack, allowing it to achieve impressive damage output. It has options like Stab Quick Attack, Stab Earthquake, sets itself apart from other Huge Power wall breakers that exist, like a Azumarill and Mega Medicham. It is quite distinct from them and can have a niche value on Gen 6 OU teams occasionally. But there is certainly a rift between this rabbit and Ursaluna Blood Moon, who is a very powerful being. Next we have the normal fairy type combination, and there's actually only two Pokemon that have ever had this type combination, so they're in a head-to-head here. The best of these two is actually Mega Ordino. Finally, Mega Ordino is the best in an arena. Many consider this to be the worst Mega Evolution in the game, but when it comes to the very limited selection of only two normal fairy type Pokemon, it is the superior choice of the two. Mega Ordino is a viable Pokemon in the NU metagame, where there are scarcely any other Megas available, and its stats are impressive for the power level. It has a decent utility move pool with options like Wish and Thunder Wave, and I believe Heal Bell as well, yes. It has Calm Mind, so it can operate as a sweeper, and Normal Fairy on its own merits is quite a good type combination. Fighting weakness doesn't matter too much when it's cancelled out by your secondary fairy typing, and you have a ghost immunity to speak of. I suppose complementing the typing here doesn't really make sense when Mega Ordino is up against another Pokemon with the same typing in this particular battle, but I will compliment it anyway out of respect for Mega Ordino and its few advantages that do exist. One of them is its typing. Anyway, the only other normal fairy type in existence in the whole series is Wigglytuff. You know, before I made this I thought in my head that there were more normal fairy types, but no, it's just Wigglytuff and Mega Ordino, and Wigglytuff is clearly the worst Pokemon. It's a pretty crappy Pokemon all around. It has a good HP stat, but everything else is terrible. It is outclassed by just about every other fairy in the whole game. It is ranked in the very low tier of ZU. And worst of all, when placed next to Mega Ordino, it makes Mega Ordino look like a good Pokemon. And that really tells you a lot. I'm sorry, Wigglytuff. But that is a pretty scathing situation. Next we have the normal psychic typing. A few Pokemon have this typing. And for the best one, it's actually a little bit of a tough choice. I personally went with Indeedee. I think Indeedee is actually the best normal psychic type Pokemon because it has the valuable niche of being able to set Psychic Terrain, which is a way to enable hyper offense teams. Psychic Terrain is valued for such benefits as shielding your team from priority moves, boosting the power of good offensive options like Expanding Force and Stored Power, and also enabling the Psychic Seed item to be consumed by a teammate. Indeed, he has genuine merit on hyper offense teams in Gen 9 OU, and I think that makes it the best Pokemon of this type in terms of competitive viability. You could also make a case for Meloetta, who I believe has a higher tier rankings overall than Indeedee, but is kind of just an average Pokemon. It's better on raw stats, but it doesn't have really any valid niche in OU in any tier. So I would actually put Indeedee above it, personally speaking. And I hope you don't have too many qualms with that if you're a Meloetta super fan. I'm sorry, but I think Indeedee takes the cake here. As for the worst normal Psychic type Pokemon in the game, I would personally go with Oranguru. I think Oranguru is the worst. This Pokemon has merit in doubles as a Trick Room setter with some cool utility options like Instruct and such, but in competitive singles, Oranguru scarcely has very much to show for its life. Its abilities are pretty useless here. It is quite weak on the stats side. It's not terrible, but it's suffering from a poor typing and not really providing anything valued to any team. Even Farigiraf is a superior Pokemon because of its priority immunity and a better move pool with sweeping options and such. The only other one is Weirdeer. And I think Weirdeer is superior to Oranguru purely because it has the ability Intimidate, which does something, whereas Oranguru does not really do very much of anything compared to other similar Pokemon. And so I would call it the worst of its type in the competitive singles context. Next we have the normal fighting type combination. This is another head-to-head. Only 2 Pokemon have ever had this type combo. And this one's pretty cut and dry, unfortunately. Not very close here. The best of the type combo is Mega Lopunny by quite a significant margin. This is a great Pokemon, one of the strongest Mega Evolutions in Gen 6 and 7 OU. It's a very fast Pokemon with a high 135 speed. It's got the ability Scrappy, which makes normal and fighting type attacks able to hit ghosts. This really enhances its offensive value, especially since it has a normal fighting stab combination, and great coverage like Ice Punch, etc. It has Fake Out for priority and disruption, Encore as well for a bit more disruption. It's a great, fast, late game cleaner type Pokemon that is extremely reliable, extremely successful. And the worst Pokemon of this type combination is Beware. Beware is the only other normal fighting type Pokemon that has ever existed, and it's quite significantly worse than Mega Lopunny. It's kind of a cool Pokemon though, it's interesting. This guy is a slow, bulky attacker with a great HP attack and the ability Fluffy, which means it takes half damage from contact moves but double damage from fire moves. Fluffy actually a pretty good ability. Most physical attacks are contact, so that's a lot of damage reduction and it's quite relevant. But Beware is more of a mid to low tier fella. It is a rather average, bulky physical attacker, held back primarily by its low base 60 speed, I think, and being outclassed by similar, better Pokemon in most arenas. Certainly would not beat Bear in the Big Blue House in a 1v1, that's for sure. And it's actually insulting to even suggest that Beware could take Bear in the Big Blue House in hand-to-hand combat. That's making a mockery of one of the greatest fictional bears we've ever seen. Next we have the normal flying type combination, which I believe is the most crowded type combination in the Pokemon series. The most amount of Pokemon to its name. The best of these normal flying types would have to be Staraptor. Of all of them, Staraptor has the most claim to competitive viability. It has a good base 100 speed stat, base 120 attack, which is a set of offensive stats that you can work with. Its move pool is good with options like Brave Bird, Close Combat, and U-Turn, as well as Superpower. And it has 2 good ability choices as well. Intimidate, you can never go too wrong with, lowering the enemy's attack on switch-in, and also Reckless, which is quite an interesting choice, boosting the power of recoil and crash damage attacks by 1.2x, so Brave Bird and Double Edge will be massively boosted in their power by this ability for more explosive physical offense. Now Staraptor is kind of an unfortunate Pokemon in a way, because in many generations it's trapped in the UUBL limbo But honestly, for a normal flying type and an early game bird Pokemon, that is pretty impressive, and it's outdoing all of its peers really, who can scarcely even dream of soaring to such great bird heights. So well done to Staraptor, who also has a pretty cool visual aura to him. I like it, he's got like a tuft of hair. Very cool Pokemon. Also has a new Mega Evolution in Pokemon Champions that is quite an impressive Mega Evolution from what I know, so well done to Staraptor. The worst normal flying type is actually kind of a hard one. I was thinking originally it might be Unpheasant, but Unpheasant is actually alright in lower tiers due to its high attack stat of 115 and pretty good move pool too. I think the worst normal flying type is Noctowl. This would seem to be the case, and Noctowl has some of the worst stats of any of these birds. It has no bulk to speak of, it's only 70 base speed, which is terrible, and its special attack is its best offensive stat, which is only 86. So it kind of doesn't really excel in any area at all. Its only saving grace really is that this owl has access to Tinted Lens, which is a great ability, causing the Pokemon to deal double damage to not very effective hits, basically making all of its moves neutral and erasing resistances. Very good ability, but I think Noctowl is just not any good at taking much advantage of this ability with such terrible offensive stats and also speed. Noctowl does not even have a recommended set for Gen 9 ZU, also considered unviable in Gen 8 ZU from what I've looked up. This is the suggested set for Noctowl in Gen 8 ZU, which is absurd. It has Blunder Policy, which is an item that you scarcely ever see. Causes you to gain a speed boost by 2 stages if you miss an attack, and then you got Hypnosis and Hurricane, I guess as a hedge against the high mischance of these moves, but goodness gracious, you're really grasping for any reason to use Noctowl with a set like this one, aren't you? I like owls in real life though. I think they have a mystical quality to them. They are not what they seem, and they hold ancient secrets, I think, but in the Pokemon world, Noctowl is rather unremarkable compared to some of the more fantastical creatures that exist. This is just a normal owl that doesn't really do very much in combat. And maybe that's not what Noctowl is built for. Maybe he wants to perch on a branch in the dark forest and look sinister and stuff, and not really do combat with elemental creatures. So that's okay, perhaps. Next we have the normal dragon type combination, of which there is only 2 individuals. The best of them, I would say, is Cyclozar. Cyclozar is a new Gen 9 Pokemon that was controversial, actually, for its access to Shed Tail, a very powerful move in competitive singles, which subtracts half of a Pokemon's health and then passes a substitute to a different Pokemon. This is pivoting with a safety net attached, which is a very powerful concept that enabled incredible hyper offense. That was just a lot of value to achieve in a single turn, and the reason Cyclozar is particularly good with this move is because it has Regenerator to heal off much of the damage that it just deals to itself with Shed Tail. Cyclozar kind of operated as an infinite source of momentum and free turns, which is very powerful indeed. The move Shed Tail ended up being banned in competitive singles, in fact, since Orthworm also used it to great effect. And if they banned Orthworm, then it would have been Sceptile or whoever else gets it. So it was the move itself was the problem. But beyond just the move itself, Cyclozar does still have some merit with its access to Regenerator, a decent attacking move pool, access to Rapid Spin, which is nice utility. Beyond that, it's kind of average. It's not very bulky, but it's fast, and it's got okay utility and a great ability. And we got to give it at least a bit of respect here for this Shed Tail mayhem it was responsible for in the early Gen 9 OU metagame. And the worst of the normal Dragon-type duo folks would have to be Drampa, who is a rather unimpressive, slow, bulky attacker. I say bulky, but Drampa isn't even really that bulky with only 78 HP, 85 defense and 91 special defense. It's serviceable, but not that amazing considering how slow the guy is. Normal Dragon typing isn't fantastic either. You'd gain that terrible fighting weakness, which doesn't help your case. Drampa does have a good attacking move pool and a good special attack stat of 135. Those are its best traits, but beyond that, it's pretty unreliable, too slow, doesn't achieve very much in battle, tends to be a very low-ranked Pokemon. Next we have the normal dark type combination. The best of this type combination, I would say, is Obstagoon. Obstagoon is an alright Pokemon with the ability Guts, which grants an attack boost when statused. Obstagoon can actually take good advantage of this type combo that is rather terrible with the ×4 fighting weakness and all, but Obstagoon leans into the strength of this typing with Stab on Facade, boosted by Guts, and also Knock Off. So taking good advantage of this Stab combo. And Obstagoon is decently fast at base 95 speed as well, and has stats that are decently well-rounded. The Pokemon's not outstanding, of course, but there are much worse Pokemon in the game. It's a reasonably respectable Pokemon, and is a significant cut above the worst Pokemon of the same dual-type combination, which is Alolan Raticate, who is an absolutely atrocious Pokemon, even inferior to the original Raticate in my personal opinion. Alolan Raticate just has nothing. Its stats are horrible. It's quite slow at only base 77 speed, and its abilities are also worse than base Raticate, with Gluttony, which is no help. Okay, you can eat berries faster. Thank you, Raticate. As if you're surviving long enough to eat a berry with a measly 70 base defense. You fool, that's very wishful thinking to think that you could have the privilege of eating a berry in your lifespan. Hustle for bonus damage at the cost of physical accuracy. I mean, just run Raticate with Guts, it's more reliable. And then Thick Fat? Who are we kidding? Fire and Ice Resistance? You're gonna run a defensive ability on Alolan Raticate? I don't know where Alolan Raticate gets such audacity, but it thinks it can do these things that it could never do. And it's a clearly dreadful Pokemon. Also, these are the only two normal dark types, is Obstagoon and Alolan Raticate, and there's a rift between them that is wider than the Grand Canyon. And next we have the normal grass dual type combination, of which there are also only two. There's a lot of normal dual types with a mere 2 Pokemon to their name. Not very normal, seems like they're quite unique actually. The best of the normal grass type duo, I would say, is Arboliva, who is a Gen 9 debut, a recently released Pokemon based on an olive tree, quite beautiful. Arboliva is not great, it's ranked in ZU in Gen 9, but it's better than the other normal grass type we're going to talk about in a moment. It's got more stuff going for it. Arboliva has a good special attack stat and a good special defense. It has the interesting ability Seed Sower as well, which creates grassy terrain when hit by an attack. Arboliva also has a pretty nice attacking move pool with such options as Leaf Storm, Earth Power, Alluring Voice for fairy coverage, also normal stab with Hyper Voice that is sound-based, so it bypasses sub. These are traits that can be described as good by some. The other normal grass type that exists is Sawsbuck, who is quite a magical Pokemon with a visual appearance that changes based on the season. But unfortunately, Sawsbuck is kind of a bad competitive Pokemon. Its stats are quite weak, with only a 100 base attack, middling bulk, and 95 speed, which is alright, but not quite enough, given you have such a low offensive stat. Sawsbuck has the ability Chlorophyll, which is probably the best thing it has going for it, granting double speed in the sun, but it is really undesirable as a Chlorophyll sweeper. It's pretty easily walled, it does not widely threaten everything. It has Solar Blade. Actually, it does not even have Solar Blade. Are you serious? I thought this guy had Solar Blade. It would make perfect sense. This is terrible. How could they do this? The guy doesn't even have Solar Blade. Well, there you go. What's it got? Horn Leech? Yes. It has high horsepower as well, which is kind of interesting. I thought it was more of a deer than a horse, but they're similar. They are similar. You can't deny it. In Gen 9, Sawsbuck is outclassed by Hisuian Lilligant as a Chlorophyll attacker. And in prior gens, it's just not really ever used. I mean, if you were to use a physical Chlorophyll sweeper, I suppose it would be Leafeon instead, and they don't even use Leafeon, so if they don't use Leafeon, why would they use Sawsbuck, who is even worse? The archetype of physical attacking Chlorophyll sweepers is one that sort of struggles to exist in the first place, and Sawsbuck is the worst of them, so it doesn't really have a hope in the world, does it? Terrible. A terrible fate. Next we have the ground-fire type combination, and this might be the biggest disparity between the best and the worst Pokemon in this whole video, because the top Pokemon of the ground-fire type combination is none other than Groudon Primal, who is one of the most powerful Pokemon in the history of the series. In Gen 6 and 7 Ubers, this is the #1 Pokemon in the tier by a massive order of magnitude. This is a Pokemon with everything you could ever ask for. Ground Fire has the glaring weakness of being ×4 weak to water, but Primal Groudon completely bypasses this by setting harsh sunlight on the field, which dissipates water in an instant. It means that water has no effect. and so it is only weak to a single type, that being ground. So the defensive power of Primal Groudon is through the roof, especially with its incredible 160 base defense. Offensively, the Pokemon is through the roof. Its attack is 180, one of the highest in the franchise, and its special attack is also usable with 150. Usable is an understatement, it's a very good special attack stat. It's also pretty damn fast considering the elite defensive capabilities of it with 90 base speed. So there's also a versatile Pokemon that can be a mixed attacker, physical special, stealth rock setup, bulky wall. It can do anything and everything. And it is the center of the universe in an extraordinarily high power level format, Ubis. And the worst ground fire type in the game would have to be a Pokemon that I quite like, the legend himself, Camerupt. The absolute legend. He's famous and people love him, but unfortunately, on the battlefield, it has a little bit of an uphill battle with the Hoenn special stat line, low speed, low bulk, mixed attacking stats. This is not going to serve you very well in a combat scenario, is it? As you are too slow to hit anything, and you are also not bulky enough to survive a hit, and therefore, well, what can you do? Camerupt, in the modern world of Pokemon, is just completely terrible and achieves extraordinarily little. There was a time when it was semi-viable in Gen 3 as a niche answer to things like Zapdos, Jolteon, and Gengar. It is resilient against the Bolt Beam coverage combination, which is Electric Ice, because it's immune to Electric and neutral to Ice. Also neutral to Grass, so it can bypass a lot of the pitfalls that other ground types have. Fire typing also means it's immune to Gengar's Will-O-Wisp, so it has a niche in Gen 3 for this purpose, with all of its immunities doing the heavy lifting defensively, but its actual defensive stats are atrocious. And those immunities no longer really matter as the franchise goes on, with too many powerful neutral attacks with Stab just destroying Camerupt's life, as well as all the things it's weak to. Primal Groudon and Camerupt are actually good friends, though they admire one another for different reasons. Groudon Primal's good on the battlefield, Camerupt has more of an artistic flair, and is not really a fighter, is more of a dreamer. And so they swap ideas, and they're very good partners for that reason. They complement one another intellectually. But in parameters of the video, which is competitive viability, there is an insurmountable chasm between the two, of course, and that can't be denied. Next, the Grass-Fire type combination. A type combination that had no Pokemon to its name until Gen 9, where two Grass-Fire types were introduced. The best of the two is Ogerpon Hearth Flame. It was an alternate form of Ogerpon and the best of the Ogerpon forms, with its excellent offensive prowess. The type combo is outstanding defensively, as these types are very complementary, covering each other's weaknesses beautifully. Ogerpon Hearth Flame has the Fire type Ivy Cudgel, which is an outstanding fire stab option with a high crit rate and a high base power of 100. The ability Mold Breaker is also excellent, allowing Ogerpon Hearth Flame to bypass crucial things like Unaware, which would normally ignore offensive boosts, but Mold Breaker totally ignores that effect, and can hit things like Clodsire and Dondozo and Skeledirge for enormous damage. You also ignore Flash Fire, which makes your Ivy Cudgel even more powerful. Flash Fire would usually be immune to Fire-type attacks, but not if Mold Breaker ignores the effect. It also helps them when you Terastallize, you gain the Embody aspect, which gives you an attack boost for further snowball potential. The Pokemon is an incredible offensive behemoth that was actually banned from OU. It's an Uber's level threat. And the inferior Grass-Fire type is, of course, Scovillain, also newly introduced in Gen 9. Notably, the first ever Pokemon with a fire typing that has the ability Chlorophyll for double speed in the sun. And this seemed promising at first. Great offensive combo, stab, fire damage boosted by sun. Synergizing further with the double speed in the sun from Chlorophyll. I mean, that sounded good, but Scovillain could just not overcome its terrible stats. These stats are a death sentence. Its bulk is atrocious with 65 in its HP defense and special defense, and its speed is only 75 base. So even with a Chlorophyll boost, it is actually not as fast as it would like to be a late game winning sweeper. Also, its offenses are not actually that fantastic either. Only 108 in each is not really going to bring it home, especially in the powerful and competitive environment of Gen 9. And so Scovillain is an absolute nobody. Next we have the Firefighting type, and of course the best Pokemon of this type combination would have to be Mega Blaziken, a truly excellent Mega Evolution. Absolutely explosive Swords Dance Sweeper with speed boost to passively gain speed and outrun the entire metagame very quickly in only a couple of turns through passive boosts. offensive stats are through the roof, 160 base attack being the main event, but you even have mixed attacking capabilities with 130 special attack too, outstanding offensive move pool, absurd snowball potential. One of the strongest mega evolutions in the whole series. And the worst firefighting type in the game, the regrettable Embor. And I do think Embor is even worse than Tauros Paldea Blaze, who was a newly released firefighting type that may have a case for being worse. But Tauros Paldea Blaze at least has Intimidate, which is a great ability. Plus it has Will-O-Wisp and generally alright move pool. Embor is just kind of a dysfunctional individual. It is way too slow to pose enough of a threat with only 65 base speed. Its ability Reckless is alright, but you want to avoid taking crash damage. If you can avoid it, that is good. Taking chip damage is never outstanding, and so this option does not feel like much of a help. Embor's offensive stats are quite good. 123 attack is very good, its HP is good, but its defenses are low and its speed is low. It's just overall not a very good Pokemon. And it's very disappointing that the new Mega Embor was also quite unremarkable. It was an opportunity to breathe new life into a Pokemon that has never really done anything and is outclassed by multiple other Pokemon with the same type combination. Unfortunately, they missed the mark on that, and Mega Embor is also quite average. Next, we have the Fire Ghost type combination, and I would say Blacephalon is the clear best Pokemon that has ever received this type combination. An excellent special attacker in the Gen 7 and 8 OU metagames. This guy's special attack is an enormous 151, rivaling some Legendarios even. 107 speed is also pretty impressive considering the outstanding damage output you have. Beast Boost allows you to ramp your special attack every time you get a KO, which is incredible. And all you really need on this guy is stab moves, with Fire and Ghost being such great offensive types. You can run Subcar mindsets on this choice set, and it is very effective at doing so. And the worst Fire Ghost type would have to be Hisuian Typhlosion, who, when you put it next to Blacephalon, it's kind of just a worse version of the same Pokemon, isn't it? It's another Fire Ghost type special attacker, but its stats are lower, and it doesn't have a great ability like Beast Boost. It's just got Frisk and Blaze, which are unexciting offensive abilities. The best thing Hisuian Typhlosion has going for it is access to Eruption, some impressive breaking power, but this hinges on you maintaining your health, which is difficult on a Pokemon that's frail, and by Gen 9 standards especially, this guy's just kind of weak. And I still think it's lame that they gave it Frisk as its hidden ability, of all things. It's just a little bit boring, don't you think? Maybe this Pokemon could have been way better if it got a superior ability to Frisk, but this is what they chose to give it. Next we have the Fire Dragon type combination, and the best in the game here would have to be Reshiram, Box Legendario of the Generation 5 game. Unsurprisingly, I mean, it's a Box Legendary and therefore it has a very high base stat total, an excellent move pool, and all the great advantages you could expect from a Legendary, including the ability Turbo Blaze, which is the same effect as Mold Breaker, ignoring enemy abilities. Not a bad choice at all. Reshiram compared to other Box Legendaries is not that fantastic though. It's weak compared to fellas like Palkia, and of course later editions like Eternatus completely outclass it too. But compared to most Pokemon in the game, Reshiram is a clear cut above through stats alone. And the worst Fire Dragon type in the game would have to be Turtonator. Great Pokemon name, we can give some respect to the outstanding name, but as a battler, less than ideal. Turtonator has a good defense stat, that's its best stat, is 135 defense, but it has low HP, low speed, and no real move pool to speak of to take advantage of defense at all. No healing move, not much utility. The best thing happening in Turtonator's moveset is that it has Shell Smash, which is a very good boosting move that ramps your attack, special attack, and speed by 2 in a single turn, the cost of lowering defense and special defense. But this is not really very well taken advantage of on a Pokemon that is 36 base speed, which is just dreadful. Even after +2 speed, you're scarcely outrunning much, and only 91 special attack is also not going to be enough to pose much of a threat. So Turtonator just is kind of dysfunctional in its very design, unfortunately. I'm not even sure they remember making this Pokemon, or if anyone remembers it. It's a weird Pokemon that is often forgotten. I kind of like it though. He's got a certain lovable goofiness to him, don't you think? And you can't help but feel sorry for him for being cursed from the very moment that he was born to mediocrity, just because the designers didn't know what they were doing with him. And this is a great shame indeed. Next we have the Fire Psychic type combination, and the clear best Pokemon of this type combo would have to be Victini, who is quite a good Pokemon. OU viable in multiple gens, and very respectable. In spite of its typing, I would say, Psychic Fire, not a great type combo. Very defensively unfortunate, but Victini makes up for it with its incredible moveset options, most notably of all V-Create, which is an incredible Fire-type physical attack with a massive 180 base power. A ludicrous breaking option. It has the terrible drawback of lowering your defense, special defense, and worst of all, speed, so it's not that spammable, because when you use it you become weaker and slower. But all it really takes is one big V-Create to just destroy something. Even resistances are not going to take this well. Victini also crucially has U-Turn for pivoting, always beautiful to have, and Victini has good electric physical coverage, which is a rare thing, but has Bolt Strike, which is 130 power, 85 accuracy, and Para Chance. And Victini's ability is Victory Star, which increases the accuracy of moves, so it's actually much more accurate than this, and it's a reliable form of electric coverage. Pretty rare option to have on a physical attacker, and Victini has it. Victini can also be a special attacker. In Gen 7 it had Z Celebrate, which was a fun set. If you use Celebrate as a Z move, it gives you +1 to all your stats, and you can use Stored Power and the great Fire-type special attack Searing Shot as well. I'm fond of Victini. I think it's a good Pokemon design. It has these powerful options, but it feels balanced as well because its stats are not too crazy, and its typing is exploitable too. No one ever really complains about Victini, do they? The worst Fire Psychic type would have to be Base Form Delphox, a special attacker with no meaningful advantages really. As I just mentioned, the typing is bad and is a real hurdle to overcome. 104 speed could be workable, but your special attack is not high enough at only 114. You don't have any noteworthy, outstanding attacking options like Victini does to overcome lower offensive stats. You just got the basic ones like Flamethrower Psychic, Dazzling Gleam, etc. I think you have the coverage of Energy Ball. No, you actually don't even have that. Grass Knot, that's what I was thinking of. Grass Knot for grass coverage is something, but Delphox isn't that fast or threatening. Doesn't have any exciting abilities either, just Magician, which is rather useless for item stealing if itemless. Doesn't really fit on the Pokemon or work very well. Unlike Emboar though, the new Mega Delphox is actually very good and quite a strong Pokemon in Champions. So they've at least given Delphox something to do there, but in its base state it is an unimpressive Pokemon. Next we have the Fire Rock type combo, which is a very cursed type combo. It's very hard to make this work. Times 4 weaknesses to ground and water. A lot more weaknesses on top of that too. But Gen 9 we've seen the most successful Fire Rock type ever actually, and that is Hisuian Arcanine. A Pokemon that actually leans into the strengths of this cursed type combo. Hisuian Arcanine has a solid 115 attack stat and 90 speed. Not the most incredible outstanding offensive stats of all time or anything, but they're workable. And Hisuian Arcanine has the ability Rock Head for recoil immunity, plus some of the highest power recoil moves for each of its stab types. Flare Blitz, which is 120 power and recoil, and then Head Smash, which has 150 power and half damage recoil. Rock Head completely removes the drawbacks of these moves and allows you to just deal astronomically higher damage with no downside. And this is genuinely viable, as Hisuian Arcanine is quite unique as a wall breaker, also having extreme speed for a form of Prio, close combat for decent coverage too. This is a usable Pokemon, folks, which is a pretty impressive thing to say about a Fire Rock type. And the worst Fire Rock type, it is with a heavy heart that I must put forth that it is Macargo who is the worst. What? Macargo? I thought Macargo was great. What are you talking about, Jim? Jim, what are you saying? This can't be right. This can't be true. He's as hot as the sun. He's hotter than the sun. It says it in the Pokédex. Folks, I'm sorry. Macargo is a Fire Rock type that is very slow and has no moves. It doesn't do anything. This is a Pokemon that doesn't have any advantages. It's one of the worst Pokemon that exists. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I'm so sorry. Because we all love him. We're all Macargo maniacs here. I know it's true. He's very, very delightful, very charming Pokemon, but we must accept the truth that this is unfortunately a Pokemon with no value at all. The sooner you accept this, the better. Fire Poison type we have next. The best is Iron Moth, newly released in Gen 9, a great future form of Volcarona. Can use the booster energy to become fast. It has a great special attack stat of 140. It even has pretty good bulk. Great move pool. What's not to love about Iron Moth? One of the strongest late game cleaners in Gen 9 OU and a staple of offense. The worst fire poison type is Salazzle. Salazzle is too frail. It's fast, but it's not threatening enough with that speed to be enough. There's corrosion, which can poison steel types, and other poison types. But what good is that when you're the frailest guy ever? It's not as if you're going to run Toxic on a fast special attacker, and so Salazzle isn't good enough. Up next is Fire Dark type. The best is Chi-Yu, the strongest Fire Dark type we've ever seen, a new Gen 9 legendary, and the most powerful member of the Ruinous Quartet. Chi-Yu is an excellent special attacking wall breaker, with a huge special attack stat of 135 and the ability Beads of Ruin, which lowers the enemy's special defense, further enhancing your damage output to absurd levels. Chi-Yu was indestructible in Gen 9 OU when it was briefly allowed. It was able to power through even the sturdiest of special walls with its ridiculous damage output. The worst dark fire type Pokemon in the game is the Devilish Dog Houndoom. Once a decent Pokemon back in the day, back when it was released in Gen 2, but by Gen 9 standards it's rather antiquated, a bit too slow, frail, and weak. This is a dog filled with regret and nostalgia for better times when it was more powerful, but those times are gone, Houndoom. You have to accept that your day is over. Every dog gets their day, and your day was a long time ago. Next we have the Fire Flying type combination. The best is easy. It's Ho-Oh, one of the most famous of all Legendarios. A very large bird, a mystical phoenix. Ho-Oh is one of the strongest legendaries in the whole series. It is incredibly consistent. In fact, it is the most consistent legendary in Pokemon. I can say that with confidence. Ho-Oh has been amazing ever since its release in Gen 2, maintaining viability even up until Gen 9 in Ubers, and actually being a very good Pokemon in Gen 9 Ubers. Ho-Oh can thank its ability Regenerator for much of that, which it received in Gen 5. This allows it to restore health on switch out. It's also a benefactor of the boots. It loves to wear the boots to be immune to rocks. Its move pool is incredible with Sacred Fire for burns, 50% burn chance on this, and massive damage output. Can whirlwind things out as recovery. It's got U-turn as well for pivoting purposes, and its stats are of course outstanding. It's a Legendario. We can expect nothing less. Ho-Oh is the clear choice. It is a cut above every single other fire flying type. It's one of the strongest Pokemon ever, in fact. And the worst of the fire flying types is Oricorio in its base form. And the reason is simple. Its stats are just very, very low. Its highest stat is a 98 special attack, but everything else is damn low. It's frail, and it's limited in what it can do as a result of that, with stats that hold it back. Oricorio has gotten better in Gen 9 with access to Quiver Dance, and Revelation Dance also working well with Terra, since it changes type as you Terra. But that's of course not enough to make Oricorio that fantastic, is it? Next we have the Water Ground type combination, one of the best in the game. And the top Pokemon we've ever seen of this type combination is Mega Swampert. Mega Swampert was an elite Rain Sweeper, especially alongside Pelipper in Gen 7 OU. This guy's attack is through the roof at 150. Even your defenses are great and your HP is great. You're bulky and you're strong. And you're even fast thanks to Swift Swim doubling your speed in the rain. Your move pool is excellent with just about every form of physical stab and coverage you could really need. Waterfall and Earthquake is the main offensive combo, but you even have such things as Power Up Punch for an option that also boosts your attack. And Ice Punch is great coverage, and Stealth Rock too. Bit of utility. And the worst water ground type is Whiscash. It's Whiscash, the unfortunate. Despite having such an elite type combo, Whiscash just doesn't really achieve anything that its peers do not already achieve. Its stats are rather unimpressive, except for its HP, which is good, but everything else is unremarkable. Whiscash has perhaps Dragon Dance to be thankful for, but it's not really going to pose much of a threat after a Dragon Dance, is it, with stats like these ones? Whiscash also doesn't really have a great ability. Oblivious makes it immune to taunting and intimidation, which is something, but not enough to make up for such poor stats. And Hydration was good in Gen 5, and this is the best Whiscash has ever been, is in Gen 5, with Perma Rain allowing Whiscash to utilize rest and heal off the rest at the end of every turn, but not really a realistic way to go in modern gens where rain teams are much more aggressive, and this doesn't really fit with the pace. And compared to similar water ground types like Quagsire and Gastrodon, who do have good defensive abilities, there's no real reason for Whiscash to be used when they exist. Next we have the Water Fairy type combination. Best Pokemon here is Tapu Fini. Tapu Fini is a very good Pokemon that was a staple of OU in Gen 7 and 8. Tapu Fini has the Misty Surge ability, setting Misty Terrain on the field on switch in, which shields your entire team from status, including yourself. Tapu Fini's stats are strong, great defenses in particular, and you've got good stab options, the utility of Defog as well for hazard removal. Tapu Fini has a nice balance of good typing, defenses, utility, and also not being too bad offensively. 95 special attack is workable. Just a fantastic Pokemon all around. The worst Water Fairy type, the one I came up with here, was actually Azumarill, which is kind of crazy, because Azumarill is not a bad Pokemon at all. It has huge power, great typing of course, and options like Aqua Jet and Belly Drum to take great advantage of its high attacking prowess, but perhaps this just goes to show the excellence of the Water Fairy type, and there are only 3 Water Fairy types in the game, to be fair, and the other one is Primarina, and I would put Primarina above Azumarill in its Gen 9 state, because it's quite a good choice in OU with diverse options and great defensive capabilities. Azumarill is a little bit weaker in Gen 9 comparatively, but this is the first example, I think, where the worst Pokemon of a type combo is actually not even that bad. It's Azumarill, just because it's a little bit worse than Tapu Fini and Primarina, who are both quite good. Azumarill is the weakest, but not that weak, is it? Still an impressive Pokemon. Next we have the Water Flying type combination. The best is Pelipper. And this is actually kind of a funny one, because Pelipper has defeated Gyarados here, which when you put them next to each other, Gyarados looks more powerful, but in reality Pelipper is the far more successful Pokemon, purely because it has Drizzle as an ability, which immediately sets a rain on the field when Pelipper enters the arena. And this is an excellent archetype enabling option that has made a Pelipper an excellent choice in competitive. In both Gen 7 and 8 OU, where Rain is a strong archetype, it also still has merit in Gen 9, even though Rain is a bit weaker than it often is. Pelipper is still the Rain setter, and it outdoes Politoed as a Rain setter with key options like Defog, Healing from Roost, and U-turn to pivot into Swift Swim, Sweepers, and other things. The worst Water Flying type in the game, I think, would have to be Swanna. Swanna just kind of stinks. It has nothing really going for it. It is a swan, which is one of my best observations so far, is that this is a swan. Beautiful. The stats are nothing. It's got a low 63 defense, and in each of the defenses is kind of an insult. That I don't really see why Swanna has to be so frail. It's kind of weirdly fast at 98 speed, but not fast enough. It doesn't have any offenses either. And what has it got in the move pool, man? You got Roost to heal. Do you have U-turn? No. Do you have Defog? Yes. So you can Defog and Roost, and you've got stab moves and such. No good ability, really. Hydration, we've talked about, isn't really worth running in modern Rain teams, which are too aggressive to afford it. This is a bad Pokemon. End of story. Next we have Water Fighting type. The best we've ever seen is Urshifu Rapid Strike. A very good physical attacking wall breaker. This guy has Unseen Fist to bypass protection with its contact move. Has the signature move Surging Strikes, which is a move that always critical hits and hits 3 times every time. Actually an outstanding physical water type stab option. Close combat is great fighting stab. U-turn is always appreciated. This guy was a staple of Gen 8 OU and is actually banned in Gen 9 OU. It was a bit too good with Swords Dance and Terra. Worst water fighting type in the series would probably have to be Poliwrath. Poliwrath has never been amazing. Even back in Gen 1, it was not very good. And it feels very outdated. The stats are not up to par. It has Water Absorb, that's at least a good ability, but not enough to save this Pokemon from mediocrity. What has it got? Drain Punch. It's got Close Combat Knockoff. Yeah, it's got decent attacking options, but I mean, this is Gen 9 we're talking about, isn't it? And in Gen 9 ZU, you have fellas with like 120 attack that are ranked ZU now, so 95 attack is certainly not going to cut it. The Pokemon's just average all around with no remarkable traits. The best it achieved is around a mid-tier ranking in very earlier generations, and in modern generations it stands no chance. Next we have Water Psychic. The best is Slowbro. Slowbro is a solid Pokemon with a strong competitive career. Ever since Gen 5, Slowbro received the ability Regenerator, which is absolutely fantastic, allowing it to heal every single time it switches, and Slowbro has very good defensive stats to take advantage of this. Good utility move pool. In Gen 8 was the peak of its power with the utility option of Teleport to pivot, but it has Thunder Wave, Scald to burn stuff, Future Sight for breaking power, and even Slack Off for further healing. Strong Pokemon in many generations. OU ranked in Gen 8 and Gen 6, OU viable in Gen 5. Probably the best Water Psychic type we've ever seen. As for the worst Water Psychic type, was actually released in Gen 9, a new robotic fish creature, Veluza. And this Pokemon is an absolute loser, folks. Veluza does have some qualities to be thankful for. Sharpness is a cool ability that gives bonus damage to slicing moves, and I believe you have some slicing moves like Aqua Cutter and Psycho Cut, do you have? Yes, so those are stab options with slicing powers for bonus damage. And then you have the move Fillet Away, which is a signature boost. Very humorously named fish move that grants +2 attack, special attack speed at the cost of halving your HP. But honestly, Fillet Away is kind of just a way worse version of Shell Smash. Losing half your health is way more devastating than the Shell Smash drawback, which is just minus some stats. And this guy, compared to other Shell Smash sweepers, is not really as powerful. You get the sharpness boost, I suppose, but the guy is weak and frail, and how are you going to pull off a Fillet Away with a mere 65 special defense? Water Psychic typing, which is not tremendous defensively. It can work defensively on the right Pokemon, but it's not amazing, is it? You're weak to a lot, you're kind of slow. Veluza is an absolute loser, it's the truth. Do people like this Pokemon? I think it's kind of... I feel nothing towards Veluza. I have not really thought about it too much. I'm thinking about it now. And I'm trying to be charitable. Can we be charitable to Veluza? Is this interesting? Do I like Shell Smash but worse, and it's themed around fish? No, I have to say I don't really like that. Robofish, you know what? Robofish is compelling as a concept, but they didn't do enough with it, I think. They could have done more. Next, we have the Water Dragon type combo. The best of the type combo is Palkia Origin Form. Palkia's Origin Form is newly released in Gen 9, and it's not that different from the base form. It needs to hold the Lustrous Globe item, which grants 1.2x power to water and dragon type attacks. Not a bad item to be forced to hold. It's a workable item on the Pokemon. And the main difference between the two is that Palkia Origin has a higher speed stat. Their speed stat and attack stat are flipped. And so Palkia Origin has 120 base speed. And that is a little bit better than base Palkia because the speed is quite significant. 20 more points of speed goes a long way. Palkia Origin is higher ranked on the Gen 9 Uber's viability rankings than base form Palkia. And it's a Legendario, of course, with very high stats across the board, outstanding move pool. 150 special attack. I do wish the Origin form got a different ability besides Pressure. It's kind of lame to just have Pressure. You literally become a horse and you don't change dramatically, besides being a bit faster. I mean, that makes sense. Horses are fast creatures, but you don't have like Horse Blast or something cool? Do you just Pressure again? You became a horse and you haven't even really changed that much, Palkia Origin. Little bit embarrassing, but that's okay, I guess. And the worst Water Dragon type, it would have to be Tatsugiri. I would say it's Tatsugiri. Tatsugiri is a newly released sushi Pokemon. It's a Dragon Water type. And it's ranked in the PU tier, which is very low. It's got a good special attack stat of 120. And it's got 82 speed, which is not so terrible, but it's not that great either. And its bulk is unimpressive, with low HP, low defense, and rather average special defense. It's at least got Storm Drain, which is a good ability, granting water immunity. It's got, I think, some good special attacks like Draco Meteor. What do you got going on, Tatsugiri? Let's see what they do with you in PU. What do you got? Nasty Plot is a good move. It actually has Rapid Spin, which I imagine is good utility in PU. It's a good Pokemon in PU. But PU is a very low tier, isn't it? So that's not actually that impressive. Next we have the Water Grass combo. Best of this type combo is Ogerpon Wellspring, a new Gen 9 Pokemon. This is one of the top threats of OU. Excellent combination of speed, firepower, and even a bit of defensive merit, as it has the ability Water Absorb, granting nice water immunity. Also, its actual defensive stats are not too bad considering its solid speed and attack on top of that. The move pool is also excellent. Ivy Cudgel, a great water stab attack with a high power and a high crit rate. You have U-turn, which is always amazing to have. You can even set spikes if you like. Knockoff is a form of coverage. You even have play rough. You also have the embody aspect, which when you Terra Water grants you a +1 special defense boost, and that sometimes comes in handy in a pinch. Very good Pokemon and the second best of the Ogerpon forms. The worst water grass type would be Ludicolo, who is really quite weak in the stats side. Always has been. Ludicolo's main claim to fame is its ability Swift Swim, granting double speed in the rain, and it's an alternative to things like Kingdra with some strengths over it, such as access to Leech Seed and Grass Stab. But other than that, a pretty bad Pokemon, and in Gen 9 it is not doing very well for itself at all. It feels quite outdated. Next we have the Water-Ice type combo. The best we've ever seen of this type combo is Iron Bundle. Remember this fella? Remember this freakazoid? Yes, Robotic Delibird. Strongest Water-Ice type we have ever seen, and Uber's ranked special attacker. This Robo Delibird is absurdly powerful to the point of it being a little bit ridiculous. The stats are through the roof. Its speed is very fast with 136 base. Even faster than Chien Pao, faster than most legendaries. 124 special attack is great for such a high speed. It's great at the worst of times. But with a high speed like this, that is a ludicrous special attack stat. And also your defense is randomly really high at 114. So you can actually live hits amazingly, which is not supposed to happen when you're so fast and so threatening. And also your Delibird, you're supposed to die to a slight breeze, but no, Iron Bundle here can actually survive hits. Also has Quark Drive, granting a boost in the electric terrain or with a booster energy. There was a time when Miraidon was legal in Ubers, and Iron Bundle was able to achieve ludicrous speed in electric terrain, which was often up. But even without this ability doing anything at all, Iron Bundle is still incredibly strong, largely due to its access to Freeze Dry, which lets it hit water types for super effective damage with an ice type attack, and that is very powerful. And with the combination of Freeze Dry, Hydro Pump, nothing can actually switch in against Iron Bundle and not be threatened by at least neutral damage, which is very significant. Iron Bundle even has the pivoting of U-turn and flip turn, so even a hard special wall is frightened of this option, allowing for an easy pivoting opportunity. A very strong Pokemon indeed. The worst water-ice type in the game would be Dugong. This guy is terrible. I mean, this guy's outclassed by Walrein and Lapras and things like this. This is one of those Pokemon who is outclassed by guys who aren't even very good to begin with. Stats are bad, options are unremarkable. There are Pokemon with the exact same traits that are just better. Dugong. It's a Pokemon that I routinely forget exists. I'm sorry to say it. It's... You guys like Dugong? You guys Dugong heads? Stupid question. Of course, there are some out there who love Dugong. Statistically, it's just a certainty that there is a Dugong fanatic watching this video. Dugong fanatic, hello? Thank you for watching. I'm sorry for saying Dugong is the worst. Surely you can't disagree with me. I mean, look at the guy. What isn't fast, isn't bulky, doesn't have a good attacking stat at all. So it doesn't do any of the things you need to do? It does nothing? Does Dugong do anything? Is it got... I think it gets Encore. It's an okay move. Gets... Well, folks, it gets Perish Song, so it can, at the very least, listen to some nice music before it inevitably perishes. Dugong. I'm going to stop talking about you now. And I will very quickly, once again, forget about your existence until I have to make a Pokemon video about bad Pokemon yet again. And then I will maybe remember that you exist for another fleeting moment. But for now, we part ways, Dugong. Goodbye. Next we have Water Poison. The best is Toxapex. Toxapex is the best and most successful Water Poison type Pokemon ever. In Generation 7 and 8 OU, this is a top tier defensive individual. It's got great defensive stats and a regen, which is not something that you usually have both of. It's usually one or the other. Toxapex gets to have both, and it has a fantastic move pool in these generations with such options as Scald and Knockoff and Recover and Haze to also get rid of stat boosts and Toxic Spikes and Baneful Bunker and such. Toxapex was justifiably nerfed severely in Gen 9 as it lost the option of Scald and Knockoff, which was a massive nerf, and the Pokemon is far worse now, but even in its nerf state, it's still the best Water Poison type Pokemon. It still has good OU viability on the right teams, still has all the great defensive excellence it always had, just without such great free options to spam. Worst water poison type in the game would have to be Quillfish. Quillfish, well, it's a swift swim Pokemon that can explode with self-destruct. It can set toxic spikes as Destiny Bond to trade, I guess. But it's really quite bad. I think in modern games, you could scarcely imagine using this as a swift swim Pokemon, could you? It was sort of viable in the Perma-Rain generations in Ubers as just a hazard-setting guy with swift swim, but beyond that, it is just a truly atrocious fella with low stats and little to offer me. And I hate him. No, I don't hate that. Hey, that's not true. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that about Quillfish. I don't really feel that strongly about it. I don't hate the guy. Sorry for saying that, Quillfish. You just are who you are. Maybe I expect too much of you. Next, we have the Water-Dark combination. For the best, I would actually give it to Hisuian Samurott, personally. And this is a tough one because Greninja also has a great case, especially when you factor in Ash Greninja of Gen 7. However, I do think that we must factor in Greninja's heavy nerfs, and Greninja has been nerfed to such an extent that it is now, in Gen 9 anyway, far worse than Hisuian Samurott is in viability, and even at peak power, if you compare these two, I think Hisuian Samurott would still be a commendable individual. In that instance, if Hisuian Samurott was magically transported to Gen 7 OU, I think it would have a fine time in the generation. So, overall, I think considering all these factors, I would put Hisuian Samurott above Greninja. And the main reason for Hisuian Samurott's excellence is its access to the signature move Ceaseless Edge, which is an incredible attack that sets spikes on the field as you execute the attack. To damage and set layers at the same time is an extraordinary concept, and it elevates the Pokemon beyond what it would amount to based on its stats alone, which aren't that impressive, but just the strength of Ceaseless Edge alone is pushing Hisuian Samurott to incredible heights. And to its credit, it does have good options beyond this, like Razor Shell, which is boosted by Sharpness, Sacred Sword for coverage boosted by Sharpness, Sucker Punch, a form of Prio, Knockoff, and Aqua Jet also. It's not completely relying on a single option that heavily. This is the main reason to use it, but its other options do come up and are good. But it is certainly carried by this attack massively. And yet, the results speak for themselves. It's an incredibly good and consistent Pokemon that's been firmly OU ever since it was available. As for the worst Water-Dark type, you would have to give that title to Sharpedo, who is not actually that terrible. It's not bottom tier or anything, but it is a Pokemon that certainly struggles. Sharpedo has Speed Boost, which is a great ability, boosting your speed by 1 stage at the end of every turn. And Sharpedo does have a good attack stat, good offensive move pool, good offensive typing too. But Sharpedo is just absurdly frail. It only has 40 in each of its defenses, and that is so low that it is a real hurdle to overcome. Sharpedo cannot tank a hit from anything at all unless it is immune or resists it, and even then, it often even dies to resisted hits if they're strong enough. This frailty is just too much of a detriment for Sharpedo to take proper advantage of its best qualities. Next we have Water Electric. The best is Rotom Wash. Rotom Wash is a great Pokemon in many generations. Thanks to its elite defensive traits, Electric Water becomes an outstanding typing when you add Levitate into the mix for ground immunity. And thanks to this, Rotom Wash is only weak to a single type, that being Grass. Rotom Wash may not have the most amazing stats in the world, but they're good enough to take advantage of this elite typing, and so is the move pool. Options like Will-O-Wisp to spread a burn very reliably, Volt Switch to pivot, Hydro Pump, which complements Volt Switch very well, hitting the ground types that try to come in to stop your pivoting. In older generations, Rotom Wash even has the utility of Defog, it has Trick, Choice Scarf combo, it's a competitive staple. As for the worst Water Electric type, well, there are only 2, so it's got to be the other one that exists, and that is Lantern. Honestly, I thought there were more, but no, there's only 2, Rotom Wash and Lantern. Lantern is definitely worse, not a very good Pokemon. It's an interesting Pokemon though. It's got a great HP stat of 125, which can actually sort of carry it defensively. It's got 2 nice immunities available to it through its ability choices. You can choose either Volt Absorb for electric immunity or Water Absorb for water immunity. More commonly it chooses Volt Absorb because it erases a big neutral damage source. Lantern also has such options as Heal Bell, a strong Volt Switch, scored to spread a burn. I believe there was a Gen 8 OU team where Lantern had a niche thanks to this unique combination, and it walled Tapu Koko, I think it was, with Volt Absorb, and that's interesting, isn't it? And Zapdos too. But clearly a rather weak Pokemon beyond that, with only minor niches here and there. Next we have the Water Rock type combination, and the best Pokemon I could muster up from this type combination is Barbaracle, who is not very impressive himself. It's kind of a cursed type combo that is times 4 weak to grass, and has a million other weaknesses too, with pretty much no defensive or offensive synergy to speak of. Barbaracle at least has Shell Smash and a good offensive move pool. 68 speed is enough post Shell Smash boost to be fast to pose a threat, and it has 105 attack, which is okay. Defense is high enough to live a hit to find the Shell Smash. So it can be an alright Shell Smash sweeper in mid tiers. But goodness me, this is not that tremendous, is it? For the best Pokemon of an entire type combination, Barbaracle, I think this is the first time you've ever been on top of any domain. Incredible stuff. Incredible work. As for the worst, I think it would have to be Relicanth. I think Relicanth is an extreme nothing Pokemon. Relicanth, an ancient fish, who maybe should have stayed in the past. Swift Swim is one of your abilities for double speed, or how fast are you? 55 base speed. With 90 base attack. Yeah, that's going to be chosen over Kabutops, who is the same typing with far better traits on it. That's intriguing, isn't it? Relicanth, okay, well, it's got a great defense stat of 130, and a bad defensive type combo that's weak to half the game, and also no recovery. It's got Stealth Rock, but it's far worse than like any low-tier rock type. Even ZU rock types are destroying Relicanth in bulk and utility and defensive value. And damage output, probably. Relicanth is very bad. Rock Head? Do you even have any moves with recoil? Double Edge? Yeah, you got Double Edge. Who cares for a normal type attack in this economy? Head Smash? Okay, you have Rock Head, Head Smash combo. I guess that's something. But of course, this would scarcely save Relicanth from its fate. It's a very slow Pokemon that is not exactly going to get very much out of this option. Next, we have the Electric Flying type combo. The best Pokemon of this type combo is quite clear. It is Zapdos, one of the most successful competitive Pokemon of all time. OU ranked in most generations, and it's been around in every generation. Zapdos has a strong, well-rounded stat distribution. It's a good combination of bulky, threatening, and fast. It has a good move pool, with such simple options as Roost and Hurricane and Volt Switch. In various generations, it is an elite defog user to remove hazards. This is no longer an option in Gen 9, and yet it clings to OU viability thanks to its excellent mix of offense and defense, the ability to threaten Great Tusk with Hurricane and many other things, plus pivot with Volt Switch and rack up Paras with the static ability, which paras enemies as they make contact. This is a Pokemon whose advantages have aged incredibly well and is still being used to this day. As for the worst Electric Flying type, this is also quite clear. It is Rotom Fan, a Pokemon that famously has a redundant ability. Its ability is Levitate, which grants an immunity to ground, and yet it is a flying type who is immune to ground by default anyways. It's a bit of a waste. So it's as if this guy has no ability. And then you're just left with the stats. Usually Rotom is leaning on Levitate, granting it more advantages with a typing usually weak to ground, but Rotom Fan gets none of that benefit and is just sort of an average Electric Flying type. It has such options as Air Slash and Volt Switch, and in some gens it gets Defog, but not anymore. And so it's just a weak Pokemon with none of the advantages that the other Rotom forms can say that they have access to. Next we have the Electric Fighting type combination, which did not exist until Gen 9, where 2 were introduced. The best is Iron Hands, a solid Future Paradox form of Hariyama with great bulk, sweeping potential with Swords Dance, and a nice Terra Abuser as well. Very good stats, is outclassed by things like Great Tusk, but has its merit on the right team. And the worst of the two is Pawmot. Pawmot is lower ranked all the way down in the PU tier. It's frail, not fast enough, and not very threatening. But Pawmot does have the unique option of Revival Blessing, which gives it some merit. Revival Blessing is a unique mechanic that can revive a fainted Pokemon, up to 50% of their HP, but it only has 1 PP, meaning it can only be used once per game. This can sometimes work in Gen 9 OU if you're reviving things like Swift Swim Pokemon, Rain Setting Pokemon. Pawmot works on Rain teams and Hyper Offense teams of certain varieties, but Overall, it's kind of a frail Pokemon to be using such an option. This option would be much better on a bulkier Pokemon, I would imagine. Pawmot is just kind of weak in the stats department for the Gen 9 world. Next, we have the Bug Electric type combination. The best is Galvantula. Galvantula is alright, pretty weak on the stats side, but it's reasonably fast at 108 speed. It has Compound Eyes, which boosts accuracy massively by 1.3, meaning Thunder is now a much more reliable option. So you can offset your lower special attack with a high base power move. Thunder also has access to Sticky Web, which is a great and scarce option that is a cornerstone of certain offensive teams built around it. So Galvantula is, you know, it's sometimes alright. It's ranked PU in Gen 9, which is pretty bad, but in theory it has merit over other Sticky Web setters. In theory. The worst Bug Electric type is Vikavolt. Vikavolt is just kind of dysfunctional. This guy has Levitate, which is a good ability on an electric type. Although actually you're already neutral to ground, but the ground immunity is still appreciated. And Vikavolt has an enormous 145 special attack stat, but it's also ludicrously slow at a base 43 speed, and it's pretty damn frail too, with very average defenses, so overall just not very good at taking advantage of its monstrously high special attack stat, with such terrible traits everywhere else, and no noteworthy moveset options to really save its life. It's got, you know, okay stab moves like Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, Bug, Buzz, and stuff like that, but nothing crazy, nothing that's gonna save it from a terrible fate. Next, we have the Electric Steel type combo. The best is Magnezone. Magnezone is a strong Pokemon with OU viability in multiple generations. Magnezone is well known for its ability Magnet Pull, which can trap Steel types on the field, preventing them from switching. And so Magnezone has a great role as a Pokemon that can trap and eliminate key Steel types like Skarmory, Ferrothorn, Celesteela, etc. Scizor. And Magnezone beyond that is also a pretty solid Pokemon on its own merits, with a high defense and special attack, a great move pool with many of the things a good bulky special attacker would want. It can even just lean fully into a special attack role with the ability Analytic, which deals bonus damage if you are the last to move in a turn, which you often are because you're quite slow. Strong Pokemon. The worst Electric Steel type in the game is Togedemaru, who is a little hamster creature. Togedemaru fits into the Pikachu clone category, a funny selection of rodents that exist as sort of a sick joke and to sell merchandise. Togedemaru is actually a bit better than most of the Pikachu clones. Most of them are pure garbage in a competitive context. Togedemaru, of course, still has very low stats. Not much in the way of advantages, but it does have Spiky Shield. You can run a level 1 Togedemaru for a bit of a gimmick. You can Endeavor with Shell Bell to heal yourself fully and utilize the ability Sturdy to survive on 1 HP from an incoming hit. Endeavor and then attack them and heal back all of the damage you just took thanks to Shell Bell, and then Spiky Shield to do the last little bit of chip damage to them when they're on 1 HP. As this is a protection move that hits them for a bit of chip damage if they make contact. You also, I think you have Spikes. No, you do not. I'm making stuff up. You have Nuzzle. Nuzzle, which can paralyze the enemy. So this is a gimmick set that can be used, and beyond that, I think Togedemaru has like Zing Zap. Is that true? Yeah, that's a pretty good attack. Obviously, a pretty bad Pokemon, but, you know, a nice sphere-shaped Pokemon, we can say. Very good merchandise sales. Togedemaru generates far more revenue than most Pokemon can say that they generate, which maybe that's the real battlefield, is the battlefield of the merchandise marketplace. Next, we have the Electric Dragon type combination. The best is Miraidon, one of the strongest legendaries ever. It is banned from being used in Ubers, it's that good. Miraidon has ludicrous advantages. It's fast as hell, it's bulky, and it hits like a truck. Plus it has the ability Hadron Engine, which sets electric terrain to enable synergies of Quark Drive Pokemon, and also, during electric terrain, it has its special attack boosted even further by 1.33, repeating, of course. Plus, its move pool is incredible with U-Turn to Pivot, Electro Drift, which deals more damage on super effective hits and has a great base power. Draco Meteor is always great. You even have Overheat. There's fire coverage. You've got, I think you get Carmine. So you can run Carmine Miraidon with the healing move, Parabolic Charge, which is a draining electric type attack, recovering your health one hit. You run Choice Specs, Choice Scarf, Boots, Attacker, anything. The guy's ridiculous. Choice Specs Miraidon could even power through Ting Lu pretty well, who is like the hard special wall, who's supposed to be the Miraidon answer, but a couple of Draco Meteors and its limited health is getting very low. Miraidon could force the issue like little else, and even on the hard switch-ins, you've got U-Turn as well. Ludicrous Pokemon. Worst Electric Dragon type is Mega Ampharos. Mega Ampharos does exist, folks, and it's a lesser Mega. It's ranked in the RU tier in Gen 9. It's just unfortunately very slow at only 45 base speed, threatened by very common things, and although it has a great special attack stat, it is just a difficult Pokemon to justify using without great recovery. Not good enough bulk on a Mega, I would say, to justify the slot, and that's the other element, is that Mega Pokemon require the sacrifice of having one Mega per team, and Mega Ampharos is not on the level of others to truly justify its place. Next we have the Electric Rock type, of which 2 exist, and unfortunately of the 2 I have to give it to Iron Thorns as the superior one. I hate to give credit to Iron Thorns in any context. I'm not fond of the Pokemon. It's a weirdo robot Tyranitar. Not a fan. But of these 2 that exist, it is a bit better. It's higher ranked in usage, and it's got a high attack stat, I suppose. It's got, Tyranitar's move pool. It's worse than Tyranitar. It's a rock electric freak. A terrible combination. It's a bit faster, I guess, than Tyranitar. I care not for that. I don't care for that. Anyway. Worst rock electric type is Golem Alola. Alolan Golem. This guy has some competitive niche with Magnet Pull. It can maybe trap Heatran with Earthquake in Gen 7, where Magnezone is a bit more threatened by Heatran due to being weak to fire. Golem Alola is not, but overall you're really not going to want to use Alolan Golem over the superior Magnezone Magnet Pull Trapper, and that leaves you with a Pokemon that is a rather terrible, slow, bulky attacker with the worst typing yet. Rock Electric is times 4 weak to ground, which is a death sentence, and Rock is just bad defensively on its own. He has Galvanize as an ability, which is cool, which turns normal type attacks into electric, so you can do stuff like Explosion with a power boost, and that is an electric type explosion. That's pretty fun. Not a good Pokemon though at all. Not at all. Next we have Electric Ice type combo. 2 exist in this type combo. A rare one. The best is Arctozolt, who exists only in Gen 8 OU, but is a strong Pokemon in the format. Arctozolt is rather weak in the stats side, but it makes up for it with its other traits. It has Slush Rush, which grants double speed in the Hail, and Arctozolt is the most successful Slush Rush Pokemon we've ever seen, because it has Bolt Beak, which is a great attack that doubles if you move before the target, resulting in a great 170 base power on this attack if you move first, which is likely when your speed is getting doubled in the Slush Rush. Arctozolt can also run Blizzard, which is perfectly accurate in Hail, and complements Bolt Beak very well. The Electric Ice offensive combination is a classic one. And the worst is Rotom Frost, one of the lesser Rotoms, because Ice typing is rather debilitating. The Rock weakness and the other terrible weaknesses that come with Ice typing are a problem, and unfortunately your only Ice stab is Blizzard. Maybe if this guy had Ice Beam, it would be more workable because the stab combo would be much better, but relying on Blizzard is a little rough for this guy. So it can't even really lean that heavily into its best advantage, which is the offensive combination, because its best offensive Ice option is so unreliable. Strong Pokemon in the lower tiers where it exists, because it's got all the good Rotom options and it can levitate and stuff, but certainly far worse than many of the other Rotoms that are above it, and many Pokemon in general. Grass Steel typing, only 2 exist, and this is the most competitive one yet. These are both very good Pokemon. But the better of the 2, I would have to give it to Ferrothorn, one of the GOATs of all time. Maybe an argument for the best competitive Pokemon in singles history. Ferrothorn is an absolutely elite defensive utility Pokemon. It has Spikes and Stealth Rock, great utility in the form of Knockoff, Thunderwave, Leech Seed, etc. Hits hard with Power Up and Gyro Bull, and it gets a lot out of Iron Barbs to punish enemies on contact. Plus its defenses are great, and its defensive typing of Grass Steel is very good and works very well with everything else it has going. The worst here, Kartana, who is really good. So the only 2 Grass Steel types that exist are both excellent Pokemon. I think Kartana is just a little bit worse than Ferrothorn. Ferrothorn is certainly the better Pokemon overall. It's got Uber's viability, it's an absolute staple, but Kartana is an incredibly powerful physical attacker in Gen 7 and 8 OU, with a ludicrously high 181 physical attack and a damn good speed of 109 considering. It's got Beast Boost to ramp that further on KO, and its move pool isn't even that bad. I guess they're kind of weak on the base power, but that scarcely matters when your attack is so high. You got Leaf Blade, Knockoff, Sacred Sword, Smart Strike, Swords Dance. What more is needed? Straightforwardly an insanely good physical attacking guy, even with some good defensive merit because of the typing and the higher defense as well, with 131 defense. This one, the most competitive so far. It feels crazy to put Kartana as the worst of a dual type, but just nothing else exists, man. There's no crappy guys to take the heat away from Kartana. Next we have the Grass Ground type combo. It's another head-to-head, two exist. And amazingly, the best of the two is Torterra. Torterra finally on top in a domain. Very proud of Torterra for this one. Torterra is a Pokemon that was massively buffed in Gen 9, where it received the new option of Shell Smash, which was huge for it. It also benefited greatly from the new item Loaded Dice, allowing for its Bullet Seed option to become much more powerful. It also received Headlong Rush as a new stab option in Gen 9, which is a significant buff too. This is a Pokemon that struggled for a long time to do very much, held back by a typing that is pretty bad and just not very much in the way of competitive traits compared to other ground types that exist. But now it certainly stands out with the Shell Smash set. Even though it's not OU viable, it's at least doing much more than it ever did. And for the worst one, we've got Toedscruel, who is another new Gen 9 Freakazoid, a convergent form of Tentacruel, with the ability Mycelium Might, which means that your status moves always go last in their priority bracket, but they also ignore abilities. Bit of a double-edged sword on this one. This is of course because the guy learns Spore, and if a Pokemon with a high base speed of 100 could click Spore reliably, that would be a bit broken, so they designed this ability to keep it balanced. Actually quite a well-designed drawback on Toedscruel, I would say, but unfortunately for Toedscruel, Spore is banned in Gen 9 OU, but even if it wasn't, Toedscruel is too awkward at using it because of Mycelium Might, making it so unfortunate to click, or going last in the priority bracket every time at all. And so Toedscruel is left being just a weird sort of special defensive utility creature with an okay damage output, but really not that okay, with only special attack of 80. It's got Earth Power for stab, Giga Drain. It's got Rapid Spin, which is a great utility, but this is a terrible typing to have on a special wall. You're weak to fire, times for weak to ice. Not very good, not very good. And Toedscruel is ranked all the way down in Gen 9 ZU. It's having a little bit of a difficult time. Grass Fairy typing is next. The best is Tapu Bulu, a strong, grassy terrain setter with a high attack and a great breaker in Gen 7 OU. Unfortunately, Tapu Bulu would get outclassed by Rillaboom in Gen 8, but in Gen 7 it was good, and fundamentally it's not that bad. It's just unfortunately got a guy that's a little bit better than it, taking all of its market share, and that's never a good fate for anybody. Worst Grass Fairy type in the game is Shiinotic, who is a rather regrettable mushroom. Shiinotic is very slow with 30 speed, it's frail, as well with low HP, and rather low defenses. Its special defense is okay, I suppose, but nothing great. The typing is rough when you're this slow and frail. Your times for weak to poison, you're weak to a lot of stuff. You do have Spore and Strength Sap, which is some saving grace, but you have no good ability on Shiinotic. Effect Spore is quite terrible, and there are just far better bulky grass types and bulky fairy types, even in the low tier of ZU in multiple generations, so Shiinotic is no good. Next we have Grass Ghost typing. The best is Sinistcha. Sinistcha is a strong Pokemon. It's ranked UU officially by usage, but it has OU viability. Its ability is Heat Proof, which is convenient on a Pokemon otherwise weak to fire. Halving the damage of fire type attacks basically removes one of your weaknesses. You also take less burn damage for what that's worth. Sinistcha also has a great move pool. Matcha Gotcha is its signature move, which is a fantastic special attacking grass type move with a burn chance on it and HP recovery like Giga Drain on it. A 2-for-1 deal. Burn, spreading, and recovery, and solid grass stab as well. So a 3-for-1 deal. Sinistcha also gets Strength Sap, which is a very sought after healing option. Fantastic. Great Calm Mind user, great alternative rapid spin blocker to Goldengo with a little bit of different defensive qualities that have merit, and its stats aren't too bad either. Defense is alright, special attack's alright, it gets by with the typing and the move pool and the ability carrying it. Strong Pokemon. Worst grass ghost type is Trevenant. Trevenant is not very good. It's slow and frail, and it doesn't have enough good attacks, and it's got Harvest to get some berries, but is a berry going to save you when you're staring down the barrel of death? No. No, it might be your last meal on death row to have a citrus berry or something. That might be the last joy you ever experienced before fading away. But Trevenant, you don't offer anything, and I don't respect you. And you're outclassed by Gorgeist, which is a real embarrassment. It's an embarrassment to be outclassed by Gorgeist, who is a pumpkin-themed Pokemon. It's an absolute travesty. Grass Poison typing is up next. The best is Mega Venusaur, who is a pretty strong Mega Evolution with OU viability. Mega Venusaur has very well-rounded stats. Great mix of offense and defense, especially amplified by the ability Thick Fat, which erases your fire and ice weaknesses effectively. Mega Venusaur's move pool also lends itself well to a bulky attacker. It has Synthesis for healing, good stab moves like Giga Drain and Sludge Bomb, Leech Seed to apply some pressure. Just a solid Pokemon all around. The worst grass poison type would actually, I would say it is Victory Bell. And you may have thought it was Vileplume. I actually think Vileplume is a little bit better than Victory Bell because it has Strength Sap, it's a bit bulkier. Victory Bell just kind of stinks these days. It's got Chlorophyll, which is a good ability, and it's got Solar Beam and Weather Ball, which are good synergies with Chlorophyll, but it's just completely outclassed by Base Venusaur, who has the exact same options, but is a stronger Pokemon. Victory Bell is weak, it's relatively slow, doesn't hit hard enough, doesn't take hits well enough. It's just a low-end Pokemon that's outclassed by Pokemon with the exact same traits, but better. Who will remember Victory Bell at the end of days? I'm not sure anyone will. Electric Grass typing is up next. The best is Rotom Mow, who's not even that amazing, but Rotom Mow is an okay mid-tier fella. Sometimes has some merit over the other Rotoms with its unique defensive traits and access to Leaf Storm, which is quite good, but generally outclassed by the superior Rotoms of Rotom Heat and Rotom Wash. The worst electric grass type in the game is Electrode Hisui, who is newly released in Gen 9. Electrode Hisui is interesting because of its incredibly high speed instead of 150, but it's just too slow to really do anything with that speed. Its options are quite limited. It doesn't really fit in the fast-paced environment of Gen 9. It doesn't really work very well. Its abilities are all quite useless too. I guess Aftermath is something, but nothing to write home about. Not a very strong Pokemon. Grass Fighting typing is up next. For the best, I would give it to Breloom. Breloom has a strong history as a competitive Pokemon, as one of the chief Spore users in the game with an offensive tinge. Can leverage the free turn from Spore for Swords Dance opportunities or just a big attack like Sub-Focus Punch. Also has some great abilities. Technician is fantastic to boost the power of your moves 60 power or less, like Mark Punch and Bullet Seed. You even have Poison Heal as well, if you want to go in a bulkier direction with the Breloom, and in some gens that's also viable. I think it's a very respectable Pokemon with a strong career. The worst grass fighting type Pokemon is regrettably Hisui and Decidueye. I like the guy. I think he's got a cool visual design, and Scrappy seemed to show promise on this guy as an ability, with the excellent move Triple Arrows, which is a fantastic attack that has high crit rate and defense drop and flinch chance all in one. 3 secondary effects on one move. This plus Scrappy seemed promising, but the guy's stats are just too hard to overcome. It's way too slow, and it's pretty damn frail. And its attack isn't even that high, so it's just really struggling. And it's not very powerful. Grass Flying typing is up next. The best is Shaman Sky, who is an Uber's level Pokemon in every generation. Shaman Sky has the dastardly combination of Serene Grace for double secondary effect chance and Air Slash, which now has a 60% flinch chance as a result. Shaman Sky can absolutely cheese games by just flinching you every time with a Choice Scarf and Air Slash spam. Beyond that, it also has a pretty good move pool with Seed Flare, which has a 80% special drop chance, Earth Power for coverage, Healing Wish for self-sacrificial means to achieve value post-life. Certainly the best of this type combo. The worst is also pretty obvious, isn't it, folks? It's Tropius. This is one of the most unfortunate Pokemon of all time. It looks so much better than it is. Its stats are nothing. There's no good stats anywhere. Slow, frail, weak, bad offenses. Its move pool is also pretty terrible. Nothing noteworthy at all. It's got Leech Seed, but you're not bulky enough to really do much with that. It's got the Body Press. Where's your defense for that? It's got Harvest, which is a decent ability to recover berries, but you don't have any time to recover berries with such a short lifespan, do you? Chlorophyll is a bit of a sick joke on this Pokemon. It's 51 speed, for goodness sake. It's got 72 special attack and 68 attack. What are you talking about, Chlorophyll? What do you even mean? Why would you give it that? As an insult. Terrible. It's terrible with how they insult Tropius. I'll get them for this. This is a Pokemon very long overdue for a buff or a new form or something. This is the one. This is the one they need to do it in Gen 10 or at some point. Next is Grass Dragon typing. The best is Hydrapple. Hydrapple is quite good. Has well-rounded stats. It's slow, but it can take advantage of bulky traits with a typing that's decent defensively and also regenerative for reliable healing. Hydrapple is so offensively strong with a good move pool, including Nasty Plot and various special attacking coverage moves. It can also run Sticky Hold for some viability on stalled teams to be immune to item removal. The worst Grass Dragon type is Flapple. This is a rather dysfunctional Dragon Dance sweeper. Not quite bulky enough to find the Dragon Dance opportunity. Its HP defense and special defense are quite bad. It's also pretty slow, not even fast enough post Dragon Dance to outrun enough things. 110 attack is its best quality, but even that, by today's standards, is not too impressive. It also relies kind of heavily on the ability Hustle for damage, but this is unreliable as it is an ability that introduces inaccuracy, which we do not want. Next we have Grass Psychic, and I think the best is Iron Leaves, which is a very rough situation for the Grass Psychic type Optics team, that this is your champion, this is the best you've got. You could argue Celebi. I think Celebi is worse, though. It was good back in the day, but it doesn't hold up to scrutiny. Iron Leaves is clearly more powerful on its own merits, but it's not even very good. It's RUBL, for goodness sake. It's really the typing that is difficult to overcome, though. So fundamentally, these Grass Psychic types would not be great, really. But Iron Leaves at least has a good attack stat and a pretty good offensive move pool and a reasonable speed of 104. There's some things to be thankful for here, but the typing is a huge hurdle to overcome. As for the worst one, it would have to be Base Calyrex, no rider. Without a horse, this is a pathetic individual with nothing going on. I think it's bad as a joke, and the point of its artistic statement is that without a horse, you are useless as a person. So I would recommend all of you to get a horse, because otherwise you're going to be as valueless as Calyrex is without his horse. What does it even get? It gets its Carmine to Jill weakness policy, I think, was a set on its stored power, something like this. But that's the best it has going for it in ZU, really, and I don't even think it's very valued in ZU, is it? Grass Dark is next. The best is Meowscarada, new starter Pokemon of Gen 9. Strong and fast physical attacking pivot with the ability Protean to change its type. Once per switch in with every move used. Meowscarada has a good move pool. U-turn is always appreciated on a fast pivot Pokemon like this. Triple Axle it received in DLC, which really rounded it out and gave it fantastic ice coverage. Flower Trick is fantastic, results in a critical hit every time and cannot miss. Great attack, that's a signature move for the Meow. And Knock Off, can't go too wrong with. Beautiful option on these fast pivoting Pokemon, because even resistances will have something to be upset about when they lose their item. A strong Pokemon. The worst Grass Dark type would have to be Cacturne. Cacturne is dreadful, it's ranked in ZU. It's got the Hoenn special, with offensive stats that it can scarcely use because it's too slow and too frail. Cacturne has some alright stuff like Sucker Punch to make up for its low speed, and Spikes is always good, it's got Water Absorb, but in truth, not really. This is a dreadful Pokemon through and through. And an immoral Pokemon, and one that I don't respect. Next we have the Ice Psychic typing. And the best is, of course, very obvious. It's Calyrex Ice Rider. He found his damn horse. And with a horse, look at how much better he is. Wow. Calyrex Ice Rider is proof that you can overcome your typing if they give you enough stats and good stuff. Because Ice Psychic is a dreadful type combo, weak to half the game. But Calyrex Ice Rider does not care about that and is good in spite of itself thanks to absurd stats, enormous attack, defense, special defense, very bulky, very threatening, great Trick Room user, which is rare in singles, but can actually use Trick Room to great effect because it reverses the speed. You can live most hits, and then you go absolutely insane with Swords Dance. Your special signature move, Glacial Lance, which is an incredible ice-type attack with 120 power. And you have As 1, which includes Chilling Neigh to grant you bonus attack on KO like Moxie. And so that is also an inherent way to sweep. Outstanding Pokemon and a great bulky attacker in Ubers. The worst Ice Psychic type, gotta give it to Mr. Rhyme. Mr. Rhyme is terrible. They didn't even bring it back in Gen 9. They decided to pretend he doesn't exist. Only 70 speed, that's nothing. He's 110 special attack, but the typing is so difficult to overcome when you're not fast. The bulk is not there, you only have 75 defense, you need more than that. You're weak to half the world, of course, and you don't have the traits that the horse does to overcome any of that. You got Freeze Dry, maybe Rapid Spin for utility, and that's about the peak of what you can be thankful for, Mr. Rhyme. But at least he's having fun dancing, and he says that he will never die. Up next we have the Ice-Dark type combination. The best is Chien Pao. Very powerful leopard creature. Banned from Gen 9 OU. An elite level fast physical attack. Very fast at 135 base speed, 120 physical attack. Boosted further in essence by the ability Sword of Ruin, which reduces the opponent's defense stat. Move pool is also fantastic. You have Icicle Crash, great Ice Stab options. Sucker Punch and Ice Shard, 2 stab priority options. In the form of coverage, we even have Sacred Sword, which is very good, and Swords Dance, if you would like to boost your stats up. There are only 2 Dark Ice types in the game, and the second one is Weavile, who is extremely similar to Chien Pao, but kind of a worse version of the same Pokemon. Still very good though, of course. This is the classic fast Dark Ice type physical attacker. It's much more balanced than Chien Pao, not quite as physically imposing. Touch slower, and also basically has no ability since pressure is not that useful on it. Has knockoff though, which sets it apart from Chien Pao, but clearly the inferior of the two. Next we have the Dragon Ice type combination. The best is Kyurem Black. Kyurem Black is quite a strong legendary in Gen 9. Used to not be that great, but it got buffed quite recently with the new options of Dragon Dance and Icicle Spear, which really brought everything together for it. Dragon Dance allows it to overcome the rather low 95 base speed among legendaries and really start becoming more imposing, and Icicle Spear is a long-awaited form of Ice Stab that is more reliable. Fusion Bolt is great. Electric coverage, Scale Shot with loaded dice. Works well with Icicle Spear and loaded dice, also having synergistic value. And Terravolt is an ability that ignores enemy ability. So things like Volt Absorb and Unaware will have a very limited application. They will not work at all, in fact, and Kyurem Black's stats are of course through the roof, as is expected for a box legendary. One of the highest attack stats in the series with base 107. The worst Dragon Ice type is normal Kyurem, who is actually an excellent Pokemon in its own right. The only Dragon Ice types in the game are the Kyurem forms and Baxcalibur, so it's a pretty competitive typing. And I would say that a base form Kyurem is the worst, but it's still a very good Pokemon with great mixed attacking stats. The option of Freeze Dry, also a good Dragon Dance user. Kind of like just a worse version of Kyurem Black, to be honest, but even a worse version is still very good. Next we have the Rock Ice typing, one of the worst typings of the game. Only 2 unfortunate creatures have ever been cursed with this type combination. The better of them is Aurorus, which is crazy to say. A dreadful Pokemon. A Pokemon that is slow and weak and frail. It has the worst typing ever. But it has the ability Snow Warning, which sets snow on the field, and that's at least something. It can use Blizzard in the snow for perfect accuracy, and it has Stealth Rock, which achieves some value. It is certainly a cut above the other Ice Rock type, Hisuian Avalugg, who is just truly terrible. I mean, at least Hisuian Avalugg has a massive defense stat, I suppose, but I don't know, I think that setting snow is more useful than not setting snow. This guy has Sturdy and can set Stealth Rock, but so can Aurorus. Aurorus can also set Stealth Rock, but it also can make snow, so I think it's superior to Hisuian Avalugg, who is truly dreadful and even outclassed by its own terrible non-Hisuian form of base Avalugg, which is a better Pokemon. Next is Ice Flying typing. The best is Articuno, who is a terrible Pokemon. It's not a good typing, but Articuno at least has good stats, decent bulk, decent move pool too, with options like Roost and Defog and U-Turn, which
are powerful. Actually, does not get defog in Gen 9, as many things lost. It used to have defog. Now we'll probably use something like Hurricane or a different option instead. But it's certainly significantly better than the worst ice flying type in the game, which is Delibird. Not robotic, just normal old Delibird, one of the worst Pokemon ever. I mean, the typing and the stats should tell you all you need to know. Its highest stat is 75 speed is its highest stat. Its highest offensive stat is 65 special attack, which is terrible. He does have a vital spirit, and he's hustling to get the presents delivered on Christmas, and he also never sleeps, because sleep is the cousin of death. He has the ability Insomnia. They gave him... They consider this Pokemon a joke by giving it 2 abilities that both grant sleep immunity. It's completely redundant, but they just think it's a sick joke to them. Delibird, I mean, I would waste your time telling you about the things Delibird has access to. What does it have? Rapid Spin for utility? Yeah, but it's got 45 defense. Be serious with me. Be serious. You're going to pull off a Rapid Spin? I'd like to see you try. Delibird is nothing. Next is Ghost Fighting typing. The best is Marshadow, who's an excellent mythical Pokemon. Marshadow takes great advantage of this elite offensive combination with a great speed and attack stat, and outstanding move pool. It has the signature move Spectral Thief, which is one of the best attacks in the game. It attacks and then steals all the target's boosts before dealing damage, which is crazy. It's a form of boost removal, boost stealing, and also a solid ghost stab physical option, which is hard to come by. Shadow Sneak for Prio. Technician to boost Shadow Sneak's damage. Marshadow is tremendous. The only other ghost fighting type that exists is also a very good Pokemon. It is Annihilate. Annihilate is a Uber's level threat in Gen 9, famous for its incredible move Rage Fist, which ramps in power every time he gets hit. Can achieve absurd levels of power, and attacking Annihilate only makes him stronger, and then he drain punches all the health back after bulking up 1 trillion times, and then you just Terra Water for a good neutral type, and the guy is indestructible. He's even got Defiant, so Intimidate won't help. It's a crazy Pokemon, and very well-rounded stats too. Worse than Marshadow, though. Marshadow is truly elite. Annihilate doesn't quite have Uber's viability, even though it's in Ubers. Marshadow is a strong Ubers Pokemon. There's a chasm between them, but I suppose it's a fairly small chasm, all things considered. Both very good Pokemon in the Ghost Fighting type duo. Next we have the Fighting Flying combination. The best, I would give it to Hawlucha, who is a very solid Unburdened Sweeper, taking good advantage of the tremendous offensive combination with its Acrobatics, which gets double power as a result of consuming the Electric Seed, and then High Jump Kick or Gen 9 Close Combat as a good form of fighting stab. Very strong Unburdened Sweeper. The worst is Flamingo. I've been told that the Flamingo is an aggressive creature, and that's why it's a fighting type. They like to fight in real life, and so that's why he does it. The Flamingo is actually, you know, it's not the worst Pokemon in the world. It's got Scrappy, which is great, plus Close Combat. Fighting Flying is a good typing, but it's just kind of weak for Gen 9. Low base 90 speed, pretty weak on the defense side, and lowish attack stat for Gen 9, but, you know, it could be much worse. You could be Delibird. At least you're a better bird than most Flamingo. For the Fighting Psychic type combination, the best is Mega Mewtwo X, who has the highest attack stat in Pokemon history at a base 190. And ludicrous stats, it's a Mega Box Legendary, so you can expect as much. This one is obvious. The worst Psychic Fighting type would be Medicham. Medicham was alright in early gens. In Gen 3 it's ranked OU, but it's aged pretty poorly. Despite having pure power for double attack, there are better options for this, like Azumarill and such. Medicham is suffering too much from its frailty. Bug Fighting typing is up next. The best is Pheromosa, who is a tremendous glass cannon. Very low defenses, but ludicrous speed at 151 base, and tremendous 137 in both of its offensive stats. Outstanding move pool too. Stab U-turn, low kick, Ice Beam for special. Throat Chop is dark coverage. A very good offensive Pokemon in Ubers that genuinely rivals Deoxys Attack with unique options that it doesn't have, and Beast Boost to ramp its speed even further on KO. The worst Bug Fighting type would be Heracross, and Heracross is not too bad actually for a worst of a type combo. Heracross has a solid 125 base attack, some good abilities in Guts and Moxie. Guts boosts your attack when you're status, Moxie grants you boosts every time you gain a KO. Heracross has a good move pool with Megahorn in close combat for stab, rock, slide, or stone edge for rock coverage. It even has ground coverage, swords dance and such. It's fairly weak by modern standards, but you know, he's a strong fella. He's a pretty respectable individual. Clearly worse than Pheromosa, but not too bad, is he? He's okay. I like him. Next we have the Fighting Steel type combination, the best in the series is Mega Lucario. Mega Lucario is very powerful. It has excellent offensive stats and the great ability Adaptability, which grants bonus same type attack damage on your Fighting and Steel type moves, for even further damage output. Mega Lucario is a genuinely great breaker in Gen 6 and 7 Ubers due to it outrunning many Pokemon in the tier with its 112 base speed. A lot of legendaries around the base 100 tier, Mega Lucario just outruns them and threatens massive damage against them with its incredible stab moves that are boosted further by Adaptability. Bullet Punch also really comes in handy as a way to check Xerneas a little bit. Doesn't quite one-hit it, I don't think, but will scare it for certain. And that is valued. The worst Fighting Steel type is base form Lucario. I think it is. You could argue that it's actually Cobalion, maybe, but I think Lucario is a bit worse than Cobalion. I think Cobalion's a bit more consistent over the years. Lucario is not the worst Pokemon ever. It has solid enough attacking stats, close combat, good priority in the form of extreme speed, but it does feel a bit outdated. It's no longer as threatening as it was back in Gen 4 when it debuted. It's fallen down in the tiers down to NUBL, which is lower than Cobalion. I think it's the worst Fighting Steel type Pokemon, even though it doesn't seem that bad. It's just sort of aged a bit poorly. Next we have the Dark Fighting type combination. The best is Urshifu, a very powerful Legendario, with the signature move Wicked Blow, which always crits and deals 1,000,000 damage and is near impossible to switch in against, especially because your complementary typing is close combat. Plus you have pivoting from U-turn, plus you have priority from Suck Up Punch. It is a physical threat with everything, including reasonable bulk too, with 100 in its HP and defense. So it's not even frail enough to die to most things. An excellent Pokemon. The worst Dark Fighting type in the game is Pangoro, and this is a Pokemon I've met in real life in the city of Chengdu. They have the Panda Research Facility. I went there and Pangoro was there, eating bamboo and stuff. It was a great experience. Competitively though, not a very powerful animal, the panda, and Pangoro represents that very well. It's too slow. It has no priority, it's not even that bulky. It's just a lacking Pokemon. It does have the good ability Scrappy, but how well does that serve you when you're not fast enough to really get going? And would Pangoro defeat Bear in the Big Blue House as a bear itself? No, it wouldn't be close. Bear in the Big Blue House would make quick work of Pangoro, and I don't think Pangoro would even initiate the fight. He knows that it would not go anywhere that he wants to go. The Dragon Fighting typing is up next. The clear best in the game is Koraidon, one of the strongest Pokemon ever, a physical counterpart to Miraidon, with a Fighting Dragon typing that sets Sun on the field on switch-in, which is amazing. Always good to be a Sun setter, weather is always appreciated, plus this activates all of the photosynthesis abilities, which gives you some synergy. And on top of setting Sun, you gain an attack boost while Sun is active, which is ludicrous. Your stats are very similar to Miraidon's, but with a physical lean. You've got many of the same options like U-turn, and your coverage is similarly excellent. You have Swords Dance sets, Scale Shot, Choice Scarf, all sorts of things. Koraidon is the top Pokemon in Gen 9 Ubers, one of the best Pokemon the series has ever seen. And there's only 2 Dragon Fighting types in the series, and the worst of the 2 is Como-O, of course. Not as good as Koraidon, controversially speaking, but not a bad Pokemon at all. Como-O is a pseudo-legendary, and it's quite a good and powerful creature with a diverse move pool, well-rounded stats, some interesting ability choices. A really unique creature. Is held back a bit by the fairy weakness, which is quite debilitating, but can overcome that on the right team. Has solid viability in OU, and was great back in the day in Gen 7 OU. But in the head-to-head matchup against Koraidon, it's not really close, is it, Como-O, I'm sorry to say, even though you are admirable. Next we have the Fighting Poison type combination. The best is Sneasler. Sneasler is an incredible physical threat. It has the ability Unburden, which we just spoke about on Hawlucha, which grants double speed on held item loss, but it's far more powerful than Hawlucha with way greater physical attack and speed. And so after an Unburden boost, it firmly outruns the whole format and gets more out of the speed boost thanks to its higher attack stat. Its move pool consists of close combat, which you can never go wrong with on a speedy individual, Dire Claw, which is the signature move, and a ludicrous move that has a 50% chance to inflict one of either sleep, poison, or paralysis. Absurd. It's absurd, and this can actually put you to sleep with a decent chance of this to occur, and that this ruins your entire life when it happens. Night Slash is also reasonable coverage, and I think you get Rock Slide too. Indeed you do, if you need that. This Pokemon is banned to Ubers in Gen 9. It was just way too overwhelming alongside Rillaboom to consume a Grassy Seed, and then absolutely go for the throat with Swords Dance Sweeping. Who is the worst fighting poison type? It is Toxicroak. Toxicroak is far inferior to Sneasler. Even at the best of times, at the peak of this guy's career, it was more of a concept than a Pokemon. It was cool in theory, like with dry skin on rain teams in Gen 5, but in reality it wasn't actually that amazing. It's just a middling and slow and frail poison fighting type individual with, yes, a decent move pool, including Swords Dance, Drain Punch, and Suck Up Punch, but I mean, it's difficult to overcome these stats. You're not even very offensively threatening with only 106 physical attack. Quite a bad Pokemon all around, really. Next we have Poison Ground typing. I would give the best to Clodsire, a strong Pokemon released in Gen 9, with great bulk and the ability Unaware, which ignores enemy stat stage change. Solid move pool too, with the reliable recovery of the move Recover, entry hazards in the form of Stealth Rock and Spikes. Toxic, which is a more scarce option these days, great to have. A staple of Gen 9 stall teams and defensive-leaning teams, a Pokemon that helped out in the more tumultuous times of the metagame, preventing crazy boost sweepers like Espathra from running rampant. You could make a case for Nidoking too as the best Poison Ground, but I think Clodsire is a little bit better, a little bit more successful overall in the OU tier. As for the worst, I would give it to Nidoqueen, even though Nidoqueen, you know, she's not too bad. She also has Sheer Force, just like Nidoking, and pretty much the exact same move pool, but she's just slightly worse at taking advantage of it with inferior offensive stats, and that's really the difference maker there. And there's not really a worse Poison Ground type to speak of. The stats are also quite low, tends to be ranked in middle tiers. Clearly the worst Poison Ground type, I would say. Next, Poison Fairy typing. I would give the crown to Galarian Weezing as the best. Galarian Weezing has been a surprise superstar of Gen 9 OU, rising to the forefront, largely because of its ability neutralizing gas, which cancels the effects of enemy abilities completely. And this is very good because it can use Defog and not worry about Good as Gold or Magic Bounce blocking it, and so it's a very reliable hazard remover. You can also spread Will-O-Wisp and, in the same vein, not worry about abilities shutting that down. Also, fits well into Gen 9 OU, walling enemies like Iron Valiant and Zamazentacle. You could say that some of its success is based on the specific meta conditions of Gen 9, and that's certainly true, but I would give it its flowers for being a pretty strong Pokemon with a very cool and unique ability that has proven useful. There's only one other Poison Fairy type in existence, and that is Fezandipiti, who honestly is a pretty good Pokemon in its own right. Fezandipiti has a great special defense stat. It's rather fast for a bulky Pokemon. It's got the ability Toxic Chain, which is very good. Your attacks all have 30% Toxic Poison chance, which is fantastic. You've got Roost and U-Turn and Dazzling Gleam and such. Play Rough, and Beat Up actually has enhanced chance to inflict toxic poison because each individual hit of the Beat Up will roll this 30% poison chance, so that's quite cool. But I would say that Fezandipiti is just a little bit worse than Galarian Weezing, at least in the Gen 9 context. Maybe fundamentally Fezandipiti actually has more going on and may usurp Galarian Weezing in a different context, but for now, Galarian Weezing takes the crown over Fezandipiti. Next we have Poison Dark typing, actually one of the strongest type combinations in theory, with incredible overlapping synergy and only one weakness to ground. The best we've seen so far of this typing is Alolan Muck, who is actually quite average on the stats side, but it gets a lot out of the typing and has the tools to take advantage of it, with pretty nice well-rounded bulk. It can use Knockoff to spread item removal, as well as Poison with Poison Touch. It's a great Pursuit Trapper in the generations where that's allowed, and it is actually a pretty nice Pokemon against things like Mega Alakazam, Tapu Lele, and even up in Ubers, Mega Mewtwo Y. Muckalola matches up well against Mega Mewtwo Y, can you believe it? The typing is just so efficient against that sort of psychic type special attacker that it can switch in and pursuit trap the fella. Incredible work. The worst dark poison type will be Skuntank. Skuntank is kinda just a worse version of Muckalola, honestly. Does not take very good advantage of the typing, isn't bulky enough to do so. Is faster than Alolan Muck, but that doesn't do you much good when you're not even that offensively threatening with only 93 attack, and your abilities aren't that exciting either. Stench is okay for extra flinch chance, maybe Aftermath for better damage on your demise, but not really. Skuntank is rather unimpressive, despite its elite typing. Next we have Poison Psychic, and the clear best here is Galarian Slowking, an excellent Pokemon in both Gen 8 and 9 OU. A tremendous regenerator pivot with massive bulk considering the power of Regenerator. It's extraordinary. Its utility is good with options like Thunder Wave and a Chilly Reception to pivot out. It can be a bit of a breaker with Future Sight because its special attack is also high. Very versatile and reliable Pokemon. And unfortunately, in a bit of a sibling rivalry type moment, the worst Poison Psychic type is Galarian Slowbro. Damn it. Galarian Slowbro's brother is far more accomplished. Galarian Slowking is significantly better. Galarian Slowbro is kind of just a way worse version of the same Pokemon. The stats are very inefficiently distributed with a random 100 in attack that is not useful, bulk that is quite unimpressive, especially a low 70 special defense, and yes, you still have Regenerator and many of the same traits, but you're just strictly worse overall than Galarian Slowking. It's unfortunate indeed. Next we have the Poison Ghost typing. The clear best choice is Mega Gengar, known in China as Mega Gengui. Mega Gengar is the second best Mega in the whole game, only behind Mega Rayquaza. This Pokemon is absurd with 170 special attack, 130 speed, ridiculous offensive stats alongside the absurd ability Shadow Tag, which traps the enemy. You are able to trap and eliminate so many things with Mega Gengar, whether they're Legendario or not. Your move pool is also elite. You can run Thunder because it traps Kyogre Primal. You just one-tap them much of the time. The worst Ghost Poison type is unfortunately Base Gengar. It's your own self. Damn. This wasn't always the case. Gengar was once a great Pokemon, but it got nerfed severely when it lost Levitate, and actually Gengar and its Mega Self would be the only Ghost Poison types in the game if not for the existence of the new Pecharunt. Pecharunt now exists, and I would say Pecharunt is better than Gengar in its current state with, yes, still an impressive speed and special attack stat and relatively good move pool, but other than that, kind of weak for modern power level 2. Gengar finds itself RU ranked in Gen 9, which is a little bit unfortunate for what was once such a powerful force. Next we have Poison Rock typing. The best is Glimmora, and this guy was introduced in Generation 9, a recent introduction and a fantastic hazard setting lead for the entirety of Gen 9. This has not slowed down for Glimmora, it's been great the whole time. Glimmora has a strong special attack stat of 130, but the rest of its stats aren't amazing, but it's really carried by its ability Toxic Debris, which scatters toxic spikes on the enemy field if it is ever hit by a physical attack. This is very powerful to be able to set such an impactful hazard just for being hit. On top of that, Glimmora itself has Stealth Rock and its own unique form of hazard removal, Mortal Spin, which is a poison type attack that removes hazards and poisons the enemy. This is tremendous. Glimmora can also be very aggressive with the combination of Power Herb and Meteor Beam. To execute Meteor Beam in a single turn and gain a special attack boost, it can run Choice Scarf, you can run Focus Sash and go all in on the hazard plan. Glimmora is a very powerful and aggressive lead that is very consistently seen on offensive teams. The only other rock poison type that has ever been made is Nihilego, who's not in Gen 9, but was an Ultra Beast from the Gen 7 games and also available in Gen 8, and they are quite similar Pokemon actually. Nihilego is also a rock poison type special attacker. It's a bit faster and with higher special bulk than Glimmora, but Glimmora beats it out with its superior ability and utility move pool. Nihilego is primarily a special attacker and it does not have the good utility of Glimmora, and it's not actually that outstanding at being a special attacker. The typing is rough, with unfortunate weaknesses, and it feels pretty easy to wall Nihilego. Glimmora suffers from many of the same problems, but at least Glimmora will always get some value thanks to its
access to Stealth Rock and its hazard removal and the ability Toxic Debris, whereas Nihilego is a little bit easier to shut down. Not a bad Pokemon at all though, it's UU ranked in Gen 8, which is respectable. I believe it has a OU niche occasionally for its rather unique set of offensive tools, but it is certainly worse than Glimmora. Next we have the Poison Bug type combination, and I think the best here is Scolipede, and there's a bit of competition. The other considerable one is Mega Beedrill, but I actually think Scolipede is superior to Mega Beedrill. Scolipede is a bug poison type with the ability Speed Boost, granted speed at the end of every turn, and it also has Swords Dance to boost up. So it's kind of like a weird mini Blaziken, but bug version. I honestly think Mega Beedrill comparatively is a bit easier to stop, whereas Scolipede not only doesn't require the commitment of the Mega Stone, but is more reliable as a win con, with Swords Dance and a pretty good offensive move pool. Mega Beedrill gets totally shut down by Landorus, Therein, and many common physical walls really. I think Scolipede is less prone to that and a bit more successful, a bit more potent at what it does, even though it's not fantastic itself. It at least has more of a niche, I think, in Gen 7 OU that Mega Beedrill does. As for the worst bug poison type, there are a lot of terrible ones, but I think of all of them, Dustox stands out as the absolute worst. Dustox is one of the most nothing Pokemon ever created. It is sharing a type with so many things, and yet it doesn't do a single distinct thing itself. Its stats are truly terrible. It has no clear advantage in any regard, and I would throw it in the bin happily. I don't even really like it. I think it looks kind of weird. I'm not really fond of how it looks. I'm not really a supporter of Dustox in any regard. I would sooner speak with Ariados, who is also a bad bug poison type, but has more of a soul and more of a character. Dustox is an emotionless husk with nothing to speak of. Next we have the Poison Dragon type combination. The best is clearly Eternatus, a tremendous and elite Legendario Pokemon. Released in Gen 8, Eternatus quickly skyrocketed to competitive excellence in the Ubers tier with its unfair combination of bulk, speed, and firepower. It's got a great HP, special attack, and speed stat. I mean, how can you have all those things at once? Plus, its typing is good, move pool is good, it's got recovery, great special attacking options, it even has toxic spikes. You can build Eternatus in multiple ways, and it's very consistent and very good, even still in Gen 9 Ubers. The worst Poison Dragon type is Dragal, a very slow and weak Pokemon. It does have a great special defense stat, that's its saving grace, and it has the ability Adaptability for bonus stab damage on its Dragon and Poison type attacks. But its special attack is not that high, it's not very good at actually operating as a bulky attacker due to weaknesses on the physical side, especially to ground type attacks. It also lacks good recovery. It doesn't have any good healing move, relying on just its sheer bulk alone to maintain longevity, which is not really enough for it, frankly. Next we have the ground flying type combination, and the best is Landorus Incarnate Form, the genie version of Landorus. This Pokemon is a historically fantastic offensive threat and mixed attacker. 101 speed is kind of perfect to just outrun base 100s. You get great mixed attacking stats, and also the ability Sheer Force to boost the power of moves with secondary effects. Perfect on such a Pokemon means you can chuck a Life Orb on it. This is an amazing offensive ability that even makes Nidoking a threat, and Nidoking stats aren't that good. But Landorus actually has good stats with Sheer Force, plus a elite move pool with such options as Earth Power and Sludge Bomb and Rock Slide and various offensive options on both sides of the spectrum. It even has a nasty plot to boost itself up further. Very good Pokemon. As for the worst ground flying type, it's actually kind of hard because the other two that exist are both very good. I would, I guess, have to say Gliscor as the worst ground flying type, which is really more of a compliment to the whole type because Gliscor is, of course, one of the strongest Pokemon in OU history and a very strong Pokemon right now in Gen 9 OU. I even think it has Uber's viability right now in Gen 9. I just think that the other guy is Landorus Therein that he's competing with for the position of worst, and you can scarcely put Landorus Therein as the worst ground flying type. What with its excellent track record? They're similar, honestly, but I think Landorus Therein just beats out Gliscor in historical terms, being a top tier Pokemon in multiple gens. Gliscor in its current state is better in Gen 9 OU than Landorus Therein is, but I would say that Landorus Therein is superior over the course of the whole series.
But Gliscor, of course, is amazing with Poison Heal and great stats in every move on the planet and all that. You know why Gliscor's good, I'm sure. He's got it all, but what can I say? All 3 ground flying types that exist are elite level beings. Next we have the ground ghost type combination, and I would say that the best guy here is Golurk. And Golurk's not very good, but Golurk is the best that we've got so far of this typing, I would say. It received Poltergeist as an option in Gen 8, which was a big buff for it. Gave it a very good form of physical ghost stab, and its move pool beyond that is quite good on the physical side. It has no guard for infinite accuracy on all its moves, which is most notable on Dynamic Punch. Pretty good choice band breaker in the lower tiers. Despite its low speed and frailty, I mean, in the lower tiers, this will do you well. It's got good tools. As for the worst, I think it would have to be Runerigus. Runerigus is an alternate form of Cophagrigus. And yes, it has a great defense stat of 145, but its HP is very low, its offenses are terrible, and it's actually just kind of outclassed by other bulky ground types with options like Stealth Rock and Earthquake and all that. So many ground types just have the same things and are more threatening, faster, more valued. It's got the ability Wandering Spirit. When a Pokemon makes contact with it, it will swap their abilities, so it's a form of ability removal perhaps, but that's not really enough to give it much of an edge. It's overall quite a terrible Pokemon. Next we have Ground Dragon. The best would be Zygarde, Legendario Pokemon. Zygarde is an Ubers level individual with the excellent ability Power Construct. At half HP, it changes into its ultimate form and gains double HP, like a full heal almost. Also known for its access to 1000 arrows, which is one of the strongest attacks in Pokemon. A 90 power ground type attack that can hit flying types, bypassing the type chart and causing you to sort of defy logic and be able to hit everything. Excellent Pokemon. Commonly seen in Ubers. Also has Glare, which is very good at spreading para, and Dragon Tail for shuffling things around. These are options worthy of note. Coil as well can be used for defensive boosts. As for the worst, I would say that it is Flygon as the worst Dragon Ground type. Regrettably, I like Flygon, but Flygon's time in the sun is well over. It was a good Pokemon in Gens 3 and 4 OU, but that is the before times, and since then it's been vastly outclassed by Garchomp, with stats that are feeling quite antiquated by modern standards. Only 80 in its defenses and HP, a measly 100 attack. These things won't cut it. Whether you have U-Turn and Levitate or not, Flygon, these are valued traits in theory, but you need the stats to back them up. You need the stats to back them up, and you do not have them anymore, Flygon. I'm so sorry. Next we have Ground Steel typing. The best is Iron Treads, newly released. And a Pokemon that really usurped Excadrill and did everything it did but better. Would have been Excadrill at this position if not for Iron Treads coming in. But thus is the way of the world. Iron Treads has great defense, attack, speed, and utility. It's a rapid spinner. It's got a great defensive typing. Quark Drive with the booster energy. Great combo of fast, useful, defensively potent, offensively threatening, good options all around. Just a tremendous Pokemon in all regards. The worst Ground Steel type would have to easily be... No, not Stunky. Stunfisk. Stunfisk Galar. I accidentally typed in Stunky. That is an insult to Stunky, who I respect. Stunfisk Galar is a dreadful Pokemon. Its stats are just garbage. 32 speed. Nothing else of note. Its ability is Mimicry. This Pokemon's type changes to match the terrain. Now tell me how that's helpful. The one thing you have going for you is your typing, Galarian Stunfisk. Don't change that. Change your stats. Change your stats if you can change something. Your typing is good. Ground Steel, a lot of people would kill to be Ground Steel. Don't mess with that. That's the one thing that's actually alright about you, good Stunfisk Galarian. Need I speak about what this guy has in its moveset? It's got like Earthquake and Rock Slide and things that it will never click because it's already dead by the time it selects them because the opponent is faster and killed it with anything in the world. Oh, it mimicked a type in the terrain. Tell that to the St. Peter at the Pearly Gates, Galarian Stunfisk. You tell him all about it when you're gone from this planet. Up next is Ground Dark type combination. The best is Ting-Lu, a newly released Gen 9 individual. Ting-Lu is extraordinary. The platonic ideal of hazard setters. Its bulk is
incalculable. 155 base HP, 125 defense, and the ability Vessel of Ruin to lower the enemy's special attack for further effective bulk. You have Stealth Rock and Spike, Stab Earthquake, and Whirlwind. That's about all you need. You throw Ruination in there for some chip damage, deals half the target's current HP, it's like Super Fang. Better than nothing. Tinglu's moveset options are actually rather limited, but this is all you really need on it. It's just a hazard-setting guy that walls things and checks things, and that's good enough. As for the worst, would have to be Crocodile, which is a regrettable thing to say, because I value Crocodile, I think he's cool, but folks, this is the only other ground dark type that exists, and so by necessity it is worse than Tinglu, because Tinglu is very good. Crocodile is sort of a mid-tier Blanderous Therein type equivalent. It's got Intimidate, and it's a ground type. It can click Earthquake and Knockoff, and that's about it. And it's alright in like UU and RU in many generations, but you know, it's a pretty middling Pokemon. Clearly a worse individual than Tinglu on the battlefield. This is crazy, folks, because for Ground Rock, I could have sworn there were more of these. I could have sworn there were more Ground Rock types. In my head, they're making these all the time, but no. There's only 2 fully evolved Ground Rock types in the game. What? I thought there were more. The best of the 2 is Rhyperior. Rhyperior was introduced in Gen 4, and it has some competitive viability there in OU, thanks to its great stats on the physical side and the support of things like paralysis. It does have a great attack stat of 140, high HP, high defense, but terrible on the special side, held back massively by its low speed and typing vulnerable to water and grass and other such things. Has all the options you could expect, like Stealth Rock, Earthquake, Stone Edge, etc. I think it has a Rock Polish to at least boost its speed, but I don't know how much of a help that will be. You're a bit too slow. But clearly Rhyperior is sort of just the same Pokemon as Golem, but better with superior stats. Golem is just about exactly the same. Ground Rock with the same physical lean, but just lower stat values than Rhyperior has. It has Sturdy, which I suppose gives some merit to it, but not really. Guess what you have? The same exact options of Stealth Rock, Earthquake, Stone Edge, etc. This one's pretty cut and dry, folks. Golem is inferior to Rhyperior, despite being such a beautiful sphere and being able to roll around, which has utility when going down a hill. No one really cares about that when it comes to life or death. That does not really apply. Next we have Steel Flying typing. The best I would say is Corviknight. Corviknight has proven itself to be a new top tier individual ever since its release in Gen 8. It's OU ranked in Gen 8 and 9, taking beautiful advantage of this elite type combo with such options as the ever valuable Defog, U-turn to leverage defense for momentum, Roost for reliable healing, and the straightforward Brave Bird, which is great high power flying stab that you can easily manage the recoil of with your good defenses and reliable healing Roost. Corviknight can also run Body Press to leverage its high defense, high-ish defense for a bit of damage. Can also run Iron Defense Body Press combo if you're so inclined. Just a great Pokemon in every regard. And yes, its stats are not that outstanding, but they're good enough when your typing is Steel Flying to be appropriate. When it comes to the worst, it's kind of crazy to say, but I think it would have to be Skarmory. The only other Steel Flying type that exists is Celesteela, and I think Celesteela and Corviknight are both a bit better than Skarmory. Skarmory was the OG Steel Flying type, known as an elite physical wall and hazard setter, and that is still mostly the case. It still can function quite well in that department. I think that Corviknight beats it out just by the fact that it has U-turn mostly. U-turn is the big momentum swing, because with U-turn you can leverage defense for entry points, and that is ever valuable. Also, Skarmory doesn't get Defog anymore, which is kind of crazy. It's a literal bird. And Corviknight gets it, Metal Bird also gets it, and Skarmory can't get it? Doesn't quite add up to me. Yes, despite Skarmory being quite good, I would say it's the worst of the Steel Flying types. Next we have Ghost Flying type combination, and this is kind of crazy because I believe the best Ghost Flying type is Oricorio Sensu. Yes, this little bird, folks. There's only 2 that exist, and I think Oricorio Sensu is the superior of the 2. It has Quiver Dance, which is a great boosting move. It can heal with Roost. It's got Stab Hurricane and Revelation Dance, which is actually a good ghost stab move. Genuinely decent Pokemon in mid-tiers,
as a result of the buff of receiving Quiver Dance. And the only competition for a Ghost Flying type other than Oricorio Sensu is Driftblim, who I would say is certainly worse. Driftblim has some promise with like Strength Sap, which is a great move, and Defog and Will-O-Wisp and Roost. No, it doesn't get Roost, sorry. It doesn't need it because I have Strength Sap anyway. These are good options, but Driftblim is way too frail with only 44 in each of its defenses, and the typing also brings with it so many weaknesses. You're weak to a million different things with this typing. Unburden is interesting, but you're not quite threatening enough to be good with Unburden. I mean, clearly the usage would agree with me, as Driftblim is ZU ranked and Oricorio Sensu is higher ranked than that. But still, it does seem a little crazy. Driftblim doesn't seem that terrible, especially compared to a little bird, but I think it's the truth. I think the bird wins this one. Next, we have the Fairy Flying type combination. The best is the new Genie from Gen 9, Enamorous, who came from the Legends Arceus video game. A strong OU Pokemon. It has the ability Contrary, which is a great ability that inverts stat stage changes. Can't actually take that fantastic of an advantage of this. It has Superpower, which is a decent mixed option, but the most popular way to run Enamorous is just with a Choice Scarf and Healing Wish, as Healing Wish is a great momentum play that feints you and then fully heals an ally. Enamorous also has a pretty good attacking combination of Moonblast and Earth Power, which are complementary. Mystical Fire is good coverage, and its stats are solid. 135 special attack is very good, 106 speed is pretty nice post-scarf boost for speed control. So this would be the best Fairy Flying type Pokemon. The only other Fairy Flying type, and therefore the worst of the Fairy Flying types, is Togekiss. And Togekiss is decent, actually. It's got Serene Grace Air Slash combo, nice utility like Heal Bell to Roost and Nasty Plot, but this is a Pokemon that feels a bit slow-paced. Only 80 speed is a tough sell. Togekiss feels limited offensively. It's really relying on that flinch chance, which is not the most foolproof thing in the world. Special Walls will probably find a heal and 1v1 you even if you get a lot of flinches, and so Togekiss struggles in that regard. But actually quite a decent Pokemon, but it's clearly worse than Enamorous. Next we have the Flying Rock type combination. The best is Mega Aerodactyl. Mega Aerodactyl is very fast and has tough claws for bonus physical damage and a lot of good physical attacks, plus a high physical attack stat. It's pretty good. Not the best Mega in the world, but it's around the UU power level, and I would put it above its base form as well. It does outrank it in the tiers, and is a more impressive Pokemon on sheer stats. The worst rock flying type would be Archeops, folks. Archeops is actually very similar to Mega Aerodactyl in concept, with a high attack stat and high speed. Clearly intended to be a fast physical threat, but it has the drawback of the ability Defeatist. While this Pokemon has half or less HP, its attack and special attack are halved, and this drawback is dreadful. It's very common that you are at half or less of your max HP, and when you are basically a useless Pokemon with nothing to offer any longer. This is like a worse version of Aerodactyl that isn't even that much more threatening, actually, and with such a large asterisk attached, with this terrible drawback of an ability that really brings it down. Next we have Flying Dark typing. The best is Yveltal, box legendary of Pokemon Y version, and a very, very powerful legendary. A top-tier legendary multi-generational talent. Yveltal's stats are nicely rounded. It's fast, bulky, and threatening. It's got the Dark Aura for bonus dark damage, and that certainly comes in handy and is beautiful because of how good Dark is as an attacking type. Things like Knockoff and Dark Pulse deal incredible damage. It's got Roost and Defog and Taunt for good utility. It's got U-Turn to pivot. It's got physical and special attacking options like Dark Pulse, as mentioned, and Oblivion Wing, which is a signature move that is a flying special attack with recovery on it. Just an incredibly versatile, consistent, and powerful legendary Pokemon. The worst dark flying type would have to be Honchkrow. Honchkrow sort of has the Hoenn special when you look at it. It's got a high attack stat of 125, a decent attack stat on the special side of 105, but a middling speed of only 71 base, which is not enough to really pose a threat with the guy. It has Sucker Punch to sort of make up for that, but the rock weakness and the the difficulty in posing a threat is too much of a hurdle to overcome for Honchkrow, even with the advantage of Moxie in later games. Brave bird it gets. Bravery won't bring results necessarily. Honchkrow, you must be better than this. Next we have Flying Psychic typing. The best here is Lugia. Lugia is a box legendario from all the way back in Gen 2. It is a powerful Pokemon with great stats. It's known as a defensively leaning legendary with its great defense and special defense stats. Plus it's fast. In Gen 5 it got the ability multi-scale, halving damage from incoming hits if it's at full HP, a tremendous further form of damage reduction on an already great defensive Pokemon. It has nice defensive options too, like the Healing of Roost, Whirlwind, Toxic, I believe it gets Defog. In most generations it no longer gets it, but it used to have it, and that was cool. Lugia is pretty good. It's actually not that amazing in Ubers, but in some generations it's viable on certain teams. And it's clearly a cut above most Pokemon in the world being in Ubers in the first place. Worst Psychic Flying type is Oricorio Pawu. Oricorio Pawu, folks. Who's the worst of the Oricorios, being Psychic is kind of a rough type to have, and you got Revelation Dance with becoming a Psychic type attack is not very good. All of the other Oricorios have a better type that Revelation Dance becomes. You don't really want a Psychic type attack. Just kind of a garbage Pokemon, not even good compared to its bird peers. Next we have the Flying Dragon type combination, which is the type combination that can say that it has the greatest Pokemon of all time to its name, Mega Rayquaza. This is the best Pokemon in the whole Pokemon series, folks. Mega Rayquaza can evolve without a Mega Stone. It's a Mega that can hold an extra item. That's kind of crazy. It's got Delta Stream, which creates heavy wind on the field, or whatever it's called, harsh wind, which erases all other weather effects and also means that you lose all of your weaknesses that come with the flying typing. So you erase a bunch of your own weaknesses. Mega Rayquaza also has ludicrous stats. It's bulky, fast, and it has 180 in both its attack and special attack, and the vastest move pool ever with every attacking option you could ever want in your dreams, plus extreme speed for priority, plus V-Create for a huge fire-type nuke, plus Dragon Dance, Dragon Ascent. I don't need to tell you why Mega Rayquaza is good, surely. I am wasting my breath. As for the worst dragon flying type, there's a rift between these two, isn't there? It's Altaria. Altaria is far inferior to Mega Rayquaza, to an extent never before seen. This might even defeat the rift between Groudon Primal and Camerupt. This is a larger rift. Altaria is weak, it's got low stats, and it doesn't really achieve very much. It's a defensive-leaning Pokemon with not even that high defensive stats to begin with, and a typing that doesn't lend itself well to defensive gaming. You got like Rest Natural Cure combo in Gen 3, I guess, but you can scarcely justify Altaria over Salamence in that gen, or Dragonite in other gens, or anything really. It's a ZU-ranked Pokemon for a reason. Unfortunate, because I quite like its design. I guess it got a cool Mega, though. Mega Altaria is quite good, but base Altaria, no good. Next we have the bug flying type combination, and the best of this type combination is Mega Pinsir. Kind of a miracle of a Pokemon. This is a dreadful type combo that can scarcely work very well, but Mega Pinsir actually makes it work. Mega Pinsir genuinely quite a good Pokemon. Has a high 155 attack stat, solid 105 speed as well, and the ability Aerialate, which turns normal type attack into flying type attacks with a power boost. And so you have Return, which hits incredibly hard, with high flying type damage, off the back of a great attack stat, and Quick Attack, which is a flying priority move thanks to Aerialate, and that is always valued. Mega Pinsir, relatively solid Pokemon in Gen 6 and 7 OU. As for the worst, I mean, there are so many bug flying types and many of them are dreadful, but you gotta give it to Beautyfly as the worst. I mean, Beautyfly is outclassed even by some of the worst bug flying types, some of the worst Pokemon in the whole game. It's outclassed by freaking Butterfree. It's outclassed by Vivillon. And if you're outclassed by these sorts of individuals, what do you offer? Beautyfly has no advantages. It has terrible speed, offensive stats, and bulk. It's all bad. It doesn't even have Sleep Powder. I mean, every bug flying type has Sleep Powder at least to do something. You don't even have Sleep Powder or Spore. You get Stun Spore, but I can scarcely care for that. You get Giga Drain, I think. I don't know how I remember that. You get Giga Drain. Air Slash. You don't even have Air Slash. The guy doesn't have Air Slash. What are we doing here, Beautifly? I mean, they didn't even have the decency to give you Air Slash. Also, you know what its ability is? Rivalry, damn it. More damage on opposite gender? Sorry, more damage on same gender. What's the difference? Who cares about it? It's nothing, as if you're going to do any damage to begin with to even multiply by the quotient. Screw you, Beautifly. What do? You've never done one thing in your life. Name a thing you've done. Next we have Steel Psychic type combination. The best of this type combination is Necrozma Dusk Mane. This is an outstanding Ubers level Pokemon that is very good in all generations where it has existed so far. This guy has extraordinary bulk, high damage from its attack, even has 77 speed, which is pretty good considering how bulky you are. Your move pool consists of healing from Morning Sun, Stealth Rock setting. You have Sunsteel Strike, which is an amazing steel type attack that ignores abilities. You got Dragon Dance as a boosting option. In Gen 7, you could even become a Necrozma Ultra with the Z move, and that's crazy. You could run a weakness policy on this guy with Rock Polish because its ability is... Sorry, what's the automatize? Agility. Doesn't get it anymore? They cut that? It used to get a speed boosting option. I am losing it. What are you talking about? Just to ensure that I'm not crazy, let me go back to Gen 7 Ubers and just... Rock Polish. Yeah, they cut Rock Polish from Necrozma Duskmane. That's just... I didn't know that. Why would they do that? I guess I'm thankful. I guess I should be thankful. Well, now it gets Dragon Dance, which is even worse for me. But hey, whatever. Well, I've learned something new. But what I was trying to say is that he has the ability Prism Armor, which reduces the damage from incoming super effective attacks, which is very good for even more bulk to speak of. Anyway, we all know this guy's good. He's an incredible legendary. The worst Steel Psychic type, I think, would be Bronzong. Bronzong wasn't always bad. It was good back in Gen 4 OU. It had a niche in Gen 5 OU. But by modern standards, its defenses are a bit lacking. It's slow. Its offenses aren't really there at all. And it used to use Explosion, and Explosion was great on it. But now Explosion is nerfed. It actually doesn't even get it anymore, man. They just cut Explosion from Bronzong. I didn't even... Not that it would use it, but I didn't know. I didn't know it did that. Now it gets Psychic Noise, which is something to block healing, but it doesn't have reliable healing itself. It doesn't wall things as effectively as it did back in its heyday, and it's just kind of a relic of the past, a bronze bell from ancient China, gathering rust and dust and stuff. Folks, we now have the biggest mid off in the entire video. We have the Bug Psychic typing, which has 2 Pokemon to its name. The Pokemon to speak of, Rabsca and Orbeetle. It is a standoff between Rabsca and Orbeetle here, folks, and I'll tell you who I've gone with as the best. I've gone with Rabsca, who is a Dung Beetle Pokemon that is ranked in ZU and is horrendous. But I would say that Rabsca is slightly better than Orbeetle, purely because it has the move Revival Blessing, which might have a niche and has like Trick Room Revival Blessing. So you could do Trick Room Revival Blessing and maybe make something happen, I don't know. Whereas Orbeetle, we'll now evaluate our Orbeetle. Doesn't exist in Gen 9, by the way. They forgot about him. Only a Gen 8 individual. Is a bulky Bug Psychic type. This is a concept that simply doesn't work. You can't be a bulky Bug Psychic type. You're weak to the whole game. I think the best it's got is like Agility, Stored Power, Weakness Policy. And you'd be bulky enough to tank a super effective hit, and then click that, and then you get Iron Defense. But this, how do I remember this, man? Why is this in my brain, the Orbeetle set that from Gen 8 ZU or wherever this is from? That shouldn't be in my brain. I should replace that with something else in my mind. That's crazy that just came to me. Where did I even get this? Where did this come from? But this Orbeetle does this. This is nothing. Rabsca has a Revival Blessing. It can resurrect like Landorus Therian, which is more impactful or something. So, in the incredible bout between Rabsca and Orbeetle, I gotta give it to Rabsca. I gotta do it. The orb-based Beetle couldn't quite make the cut. It couldn't do it. Psychic Dark typing is up next, folks. The best is Hooper Unbound. A strong wall breaker with incredible offensive stats, 160 in its physical attack and 170 in its special attack also. Plus special bulk to speak of, so it can sort of hit the field against things. It only has 80 speed, but with ludicrous offenses like this, you can make that work. Its offensive move pool is also strong. Knockoff is great. Hyperspace Fury is a cool dark type attack with 100 power. That also lowers enemy defense for breaking potential. You got Drain Punch for fighting coverage. You also have special attacking options on this guy. Does suffer from Psychic Dark being a dreadful defensive typing, but is viable anyway as a result of ludicrously good offensive stats. As for the worst Psychic Dark type in the game, it'd clearly be Malamar. Malamar has very low stats all around. The ability Contrary, which is its main claim to fame, which converts stat stages, and you can run superpower to ramp defense and attack. When it would usually be lowered, but due contrary to popular belief, you have the reverse effect. But the stats are too low for that to be any good, folks. And the Pokemon is really a sick joke and a laughing stock, and people point and laugh at this Pokemon routinely and call him like a dunce and a fool and stuff like that. Psychic Fairy typing is next. The best is Tapu Lele, a defining offensive threat of Gen 7 and 8 OU. It sets Psychic Terrain on the field immediately, which has high impact on offensive structures and itself takes advantage of the bonus damage and priority immunity. The Pokemon has great special attack of 130, and with a choice specs it does ludicrous damage. It's an outstanding special breaker. Worst Psychic Fairy typing would have to be Rapidash Galarian. Rapidash Galarian is a very bad unicorn-themed Pokemon. This guy is a fast physical attacking Psychic Fairy type. It's got high horsepower due to its horse ancestry. It's got Play Rough, and this is a good coverage combo. It can Swords Dance up, but I mean, the guy's frail with only 65 health, low defenses. 100 attack is nothing to write home about in the modern climate. 105 speed is pretty good. Ability is Pastel Veil, which is immunity to poison. Unexciting. You need a better ability than this. It's a bad Pokemon. It's Gen 8 ZU and it does not exist in any other generation. Next is Psychic Rock typing. The best is Iron Boulder. Iron Boulder is the future Paradox form of Terrakion. It has a strong 124 base speed and a great 120 attack stat. Can genuinely outrun the entire metagame easily after a booster energy. Is notably the fastest Paradox Pokemon, and so that has value for the speed tier. It's got the signature move Mighty Cleave, which is very good. It's a 95 power rock type attack that can bypass protect. Very powerful. It's got viability in OU. I will say that it's competing with Iron Valiant. It's kind of struggling in that world full of Landorus, Therians, and Tusks and stuff. But it can exist and it can work. It's UUBL ranked, which is fairly respectable. Worst rock psychic type is Lunatone. Lunatone is no good. Its stats are nowhere to be found. It has Levitate to prevent earthquakes and grant ground immunity, but that's scarcely much of a help in such dire circumstances. What do you got? Calm Mind, Power Gem, Psyshock, something like this. You'd have to be a lunatic to run a thing like this and get away with it. Is there a set that exists in Gen 7 ZU for Lunatone that I can use as a reference point? No, Gen 7 ZU, no one was using Lunatone, and there's no set for it on the analysis because he's considered a worthless freak. He's considered a freak and they hate him, and they want him gone. Next we have the Psychic Ghost type combination, and when you know it, that dang Calyrex found his horse again. Calyrex Shadow Rider is the best Psychic Ghost type, one of the strongest Pokemon in history, with its absolutely astronomically high 165 base special attack and 150 speed, which are through the roof. Plus, it has As-1 with the Grimnay ability granting +1 special attack boost every time it gets a KO. It has the ridiculous move Astral Barrage, which has 120 base power. It's got such coverage as Grass Knot and Psychic. I believe it gets Calm Mind if you wanted to boost with it as well, which is crazy. Does it even get Nasty Plot? It even gets Nasty Plot. Goodness me. So just clearly a ludicrous Pokemon, one of the strongest ever. Worst Psychic Ghost type would have to be Hoopa. Hoopa is also actually a Legendario, or is it a Mythical? It's one of them. It's one of those categories. A tough one because it's a slow Psychic Ghost type, and this is a typing that kind of demands you to be fast, because if anything's faster than you, they will hit you with all the moves you're weak to. Times 4 weakness to Dark and Ghost is terrible when these are such prominent and common offensive types. Hoopa does at least have a good special attack stat of 150 and a good special defense of 130, but Hoopa struggles. It's a tough life for Hoopa. I mean, it's clearly struggling most of all in the arena against Calyrex Shadow Rider, who has outclassed it tenfold. Now we have Psychic Dragon typing, and this is just the Lati twins and their megas, folks. I'm going to be real with you. There's no others, but I'll do it anyway. I'll do them anyway. They still are distinct beings. Each one of them is a distinct snowflake. The best of them is Mega Latias. This is the best of the Lati twins. It is a good Pokemon in Gen 6 and 7 OU, with the most well-rounded stat distribution of all the Latis. It's fast, it's got good special attack and good defense and special defense too. It's kind of got everything. Levitation, which it already has in its base form, but maintains in the Mega form. So it's kind of just a great all-purpose, defensive and offensive Pokemon with recovery, and I believe it gets Defog if you want that. It can Calm Mind boost. It's a solid and consistent choice. The worst of these is Latias, the base form, which is funny. It has the best Mega in the worst base form. Normal Latias is just a little bit outclassed by Latios much of the time, and is a bit weaker. They're really all very similar. They are twins, and they all have the same typing and levitate and just slightly shuffled stats and most of the same options. But of all of them, Latias is slightly worse, and there you go. It's a little bit worse because Latios tends to outclass it with its higher offenses. Next we have the Bug Steel typing. The best is Genesect, a mythical individual introduced in Gen 5 games. This guy is great. 99 base speed is actually not that amazing, but it's alright enough with a Choice Scarf, and Genesect does lend itself well to the Choice Scarf. Genesect's ability is Down Low. On switch in, you will gain a offensive boost relative to the enemy's weaker defensive stat, which is perfect because Genesect is a mixed attacker with high attack and special attack, 120 in each. It's very easy for Genesect to run mixed attacking sets, and it gets an offensive boost that is perfect for the situation always. It has U-Turn, which has a stab boost and is often hitting quite hard with your high physical attack and the download boost. This also makes it more convenient for you to run a Scarf and supplement your lower speed, because U-Turn is a great option on Scarf Pokemon for scouting purposes, and to reset the Scarf. Your move pool is tremendous. You have Ice Beam as a form of coverage, Flamethrower I believe you get, and Thunderbolt. All the great elemental attacks, Explosion to go out with a bang, Stab Iron Head. It's a great mixed attacking fella with the download for further excellence. The worst Bug Steel type is Wormadam Treasure. Just kidding, he's called Wormadam Trash very rudely by the creators of Pokemon, who I consider to be adversarial to Wormadam for no good reason. Why did you have to call him Wormadam Trash? Why did you have to name a Pokemon after the trash? It's just inconsiderate. I don't even really get what's trashy about the Wormadam. Is he like a piece of garbage? Does he come from the bin and he was born there? No? No, he just appears to be a little bug creature. I don't really know what's trash, where trash comes into the equation. I just don't think it's necessary to call him that. But regardless, this is of all the Bug Steel types, this is the most trash. Its stats are bad, and that's basically it. It's like a way worse version of like Forretress. Forretress is just the better version of this guy in all regards. But actually, it's the best of the Wormadams, so joke's on you, Wormadam Sandy. Wormadam Trash has you beat, man. Next, we have the Bug Rock typing. For the best, I would give it to Cleavor, who was a newly released individual from Legends Arceus. Cleavor has the signature move Stone Axe, which is very good. It's a rock type attack that sets Stealth Rock on the field when clicked. And this is boosted by the ability Sharpness, which boosts slicing based moves. So you can hit them with a pretty hard hitting rock type attack and make Stealth Rock at the same time. A very good way to open a battle. X-Scissor is also boosted by Sharpness for a great bug stab option, and Cleavor itself has a tremendous 135 base physical attack. I think this is quite a cut above other bug rock types. You could maybe make a case that Shuckle is better purely because it sets Sticky Web, but I would give Cleavor some credit and say it's superior to Shuckle. Ranked RU in Gen 9, not OU level, but respectable in its own realm. As for the worst bug rock type, I suppose I'd give it to Armaldo. Armaldo is the one. They didn't put Armaldo in Gen 9, which is ludicrous. How could you not put in fan favorite Armaldo? Everybody loves Armaldo. What? They didn't put him in Gen 9? First time I realized that just now. Suppose I never thought to look. Maybe that's why they cut him. No, Armaldo is kind of worthless. It's slow. It has a good attack stat, but what does it use the attack stat for? Its bulk is not even that great actually for such a slow individual. It's got 100 base defense, but you need a bit more than that, especially because your typing is quite dreadful. It's got Swift Swim as an ability, which is a bit of a sick joke. How the hell is this a Swift Swim through a double speed in the rain? Do you even have water moves? Waterfall? Liquidation? Okay, you got Liquidation, but to what end, I don't think Armaldo can cut it in that arena. It's too slow to begin with. Battle Armor is the other option, which is just crit immunity. Not very good. It's got all the options you'd expect, you know. Knock off, Stone Edge. Does it have X Scissor or something? Yeah. It's just not anything. It's outclassed by Shuckle, because Shuckle can set sticky webs. I don't think Armaldo is bringing much to the table. Next is Rock Fairy typing. The best Rock Fairy type is Mega Diancie, a great mixed attacker in Gen 6 and 7 OU, with the Magic Bounce ability for fantastic lead scenarios where the enemy cannot stealth rock against you, but you can stealth rock against them and also threaten their life with great attacking options. Straightforwardly fantastic Mega. Worst Rock Fairy type? I mean, there's not many. There's Base Diancie and then there's Carbink. And these are the three. Carbink is clearly the worst. He's just a little rock. Doesn't really achieve anything, sits there with 150 defense and special defense, which are impressive stats, but what can you use them for? Not a whole lot. You get Stealth Rock. I gotta stop giving Pokemon credit for having Stealth Rock. I keep saying that as if it means anything, but many Pokemon have Stealth Rock, evidently. It's not enough. You need to be more than this, Carbink. You need to be more than this for me to speak about you in any light. Next, we have the Rock Steel type combination. The best is Stakataka, who is one of the Ultra Beasts. Stakataka is a cut above the other Pokemon with this typing with much higher defensive and offensive stats. It's got well-rounded defenses too, with high special defense as well as physical defense. Its speed is only 13, but to be honest, when you're a slower Pokemon like this, it doesn't even matter that your speed is that low, as if 30 and 13 are very different. If it had 50 speed, it wouldn't be that different, so it's better to distribute those stats honestly to the special defense to help out a bit in that department. And in fact, Stakataka seems to have been designed as a great Trick Room Pokemon, because its 13 speed is so ludicrously low that it pretty much outruns everything in Trick Room, and this is considerable even in singles as a result of that, because it has Gyro Ball to deal damage the slower you are, also very synergistic with its low speed, and you get Beast Boost too to ramp your, I guess, your defense, because that's going to be certainly the highest stat you have, but hey, can't hurt to get a bit more defense. Still, you're a Rock Steel type, so you're not going to be that high tier, but of all the Rock Steel types, this is the clear winner. As for the worst, I think I'd give it to Bastiodon. This guy has good defenses, excellent defenses really, but everything else is horrible, it's slow, and has no attacking stats to speak of at all. It's way too passive, and for something so passive you need to be defensively pristine, like a Dondozo or something, but Bastiodon still suffers from its typing, has no healing. It can set Stealth Rock, and it's got Burst, Metal Burst to reflect damage back, and that's probably the best way it can deal damage, but I don't know, man. I guess it gets Body Press in Gen 8 onwards, doesn't it? Is that the truth? No! Gen 9 you get? Okay, they gave it in Gen 9. They gave it in Gen 9. But still, it's clearly not enough because it's ZU here too, so that's scarcely much of a help. Just a Pokemon that is far too passive for its own good, with none of the tools that you need to function as such a passive individual. Next, the Ghost Fairy typing. There were only two in existence. The best is Flutter Mane. The strongest of the Paradox Pokemon, many would agree. Flutter Mane takes beautiful advantage of its elite typing with tremendous stats and move pool. A straightforwardly excellent special attacker with bulk to speak of too. The other Ghost Fairy type is Mimikyu. And Mimikyu has the benefit of a unique ability in Disguise to shield it from an incoming hit. It can be a Swords Dance Sweeper, Trick Room Setter, and Shadow Sneak Utilizer and stuff, but other than this gimmick of Disguise to give it that safety net, it's pretty bad otherwise. Its stats are quite low, and it's relying pretty heavily on its typing and its ability to do anything. It does actually have some OU viability in past gens a little bit, perhaps a niche with like a Red Guard Trick Room, which is something, but Trick Room's not that good, and Mimikyu is really a middling Pokemon overall. Steel Ghost typing is up next. There are two that exist. The best is Goldengo, who is a newly released Gen 9 individual who has been the most central force in Gen 9 OU ever since the first metagame. Goldengo's ability, Good as Gold, changed everything with its ability to block defog and just generally being outstanding, granting immunity to all stats. Goldengo itself takes beautiful advantage of its elite typing with a high special attack stat and good options like Recover, Nasty Plot, Thunderwave, etc. A centralizing Pokemon that has had a massive impact on how the format is played. The other guy is Aegislash, who is also very good. It doesn't exist in Gen 9, but is very good. However, after the Gen 8 nerf, I don't think that it would overtake Goldengo in Gen 9, especially because Good as Gold has a larger metagame impact. Aegislash is very good with stance change and fantastic move pool, great offenses and defenses that morph based on the form, but despite being quite a great Pokemon in its own right, I think it's a bit worse than Goldengo. Next, we have the Dark Ghost type combination. The best is Mega Sableye. Mega Sableye is one of the strongest Mega Evolutions, the strongest defensive Mega Evolution, with its great defensive stat increases in the Mega form, the ability Magic Bounce, which is one of the best in the game, bouncing back various status ailments and granting effective immunity to status, and bouncing back has it. Mega Sableye has Recovery, Foul Play to take on Boost Sweepers, Toxic to straightforwardly status things, and just sit there and be a nuisance with Magic Bounce. Very, very good defensive Pokemon. The worst Dark Ghost type is Spiritomb. Spiritomb is a Pokemon that can't really achieve very much. It's average across the board. Not good enough defensively, not good enough with the utility side. Stats are not good enough. Everything about it is just not good enough, frankly. Even at the peak of its power in, I would say, Gen 4, even then it was more of a niche choice in OU, if at all. Next, we have Ghost Dragon typing. The best is Giratina Origin, one of the best and most consistent legendary Pokemon in the series. A great Defog user. Still has Defog in Gen 9, one of the few things that kept it. Has Levitate for great defensive value. The typing can also block Rapid Spin. Very well-rounded stats, nice balance of bulk and offenses. Great move pool too. Has excellent offensive options including Shadow Sneak, Stab moves, Thunder Wave, also Will-O-Wisp, I believe, yes. Great status options, utility defog, offensive tools, mixed attacking. Beautifully diverse Pokemon that is a staple of Ubis for many years. And actually the worst Dragon Ghost type is Dragapult, even though Dragapult is literally an amazing Pokemon. It's clearly worse than both Giratina Origin and Giratina, and those are the three Dragon Ghosts that exist currently. So Dragapult, despite being literally a staple of OU and a tremendous Pokemon, with high speed, diverse options, and just a very consistent success rate, it is the worst Dragon Ghost type, can you believe it? Next we have the Dragon Steel type combination. The best here is Dialga. The base form of Dialga does outdo the Origin form this time, because Dialga Origin is not quite as good. It only gets a special defense boost, and it's required to hold an offensive item, which is not a good fit. Dialga has a free item slot. Dialga was a great legendary in its debut of Gen 4. In fact, many believe it's the best Pokemon in Gen 4 Ubers. A very good move pool, Stealth Rock Setter, Dragon Steel type, meaning that it's resilient against other dragons with neutral received damage from dragon type attacks. Can be mixed, can be bulky, all sorts of things. These days, Dialga is a little bit more outclassed by such individuals as Eternatus, superior bulky dragons, superior steel types. But, you know, compared to most Pokemon that exist, this is a box legendary with incredible stats. It's gonna be better than most of them. Worst Dragon Steel type would have to be Hisuian Goodra. Hisuian Goodra is ranked RU in Gen 9, and this is a Pokemon I thought would be much better than it ended up being. I had faith in it. I thought the typing would be good, its stats looked good. Looked like an improvement over the original Goodra. I think it is an improvement over the original Goodra, but just ended up feeling a bit too passive. And while it has a vast offensive move pool, it doesn't make enough progress with anything like Stealth Rock, just doesn't get Stealth Rock. Gets Knockoff, and that's good, can utilize that, but it has no reliable healing either. Doesn't have reliable healing, sacrifices too much momentum, is too easy to stop. Didn't end up being OU viable, ended up in the RU tier. But, you know, not a bad Pokemon really. Not a terrible blemish on the record of the Steel Dragon typing. For this to be your worst, there are clearly much worse Pokemon in the grander scheme. Next we have the Dragon Dark typing. The best is Roaring Moon, the new past Paradox version of Salamence. This Pokemon is banned from Gen 9 OU. It was too powerful. It is very fast and threatening. It gets the booster energy to boost its stats instantaneously. It has Acrobatics, which synergizes with the booster energy as it is an item consumption. And Terra Flying also boosts the power of Acrobatics while changing your type to flying and evading incoming fighting type attacks and ground type attacks, etc. Roaring Moon gets Knock Off. It received this in a DLC, and this was an enormous buff for it that actually pushed it over the edge. The guy's also like fairly bulky considering how fast and threatening it is with 105 HP and 101 special defense, but decently alright, allowing it to get Dragon Dance opportunities. This guy was also using Terra Blast Fairy, but now Terra Blast is actually banned itself, so I suppose that's no longer a factor. Certainly an extremely powerful boost sweeper. The worst Dragon Dark type is, damn it all, folks. It's Guzzlord, who is a Pokemon I hate very much, who I didn't think I would need to talk about again in a video, but here we are. You always seem to come out of the woodwork, Guzzlord, and make me speak about you. I mean, look at this freak. He's like a... I don't know what he is. He's got crab claws for hands. He's a disgusting beast. Look at the stats on this. It's got 200 HP, 50 defenses, and it's got no attack, and it's slow. This is a Pokemon that I look at and I feel headache, because I'm like, what is it that you do, man? You're not bulky. Even though you have a massive HP, you have too low of a defense. You don't have any healing moves. You're not an attacker. Your special attack is 97 and you're not fast. This Pokemon is everything and nothing all at once. It does nothing. It has like, it's got Draco Meteor, Flamethrower. Does it get Body Press? Yes. But who would use this with, it doesn't have a defense stat. What are you talking about? I guess it's a special attacker. It's got Knockoff. It's like a bulky attacker, but is it really? Is it really a bulky attacker? Is that what it is? I don't think it's anything. I think Guzzlord is nothing and I want to stop looking at it. And finally, folks, the final type combination of the video, Steel Fairy, which is the best type combo in the game that we are presently aware of. A very strong type combination. And the best Pokemon of this type combination, you know what it is. It's the dog. It's the damn dog. Zacian Crown. Stop appearing in my videos yourself, Zacian Crown. I told you to stop appearing in these videos such that I have to speak about you and all of your advantages that you have. Zacian Crown has every advantage you can imagine. Especially in its debut of Gen 8, where it was in a pre-nerf state. It has the elite typing of Fairy Steel, it's 148 speed, has good defenses, good attack, Swords Dance, and it gains even more attack on Switch and from Intrepid Sword, which is a permanent attack boost in Gen 8. The Pokemon is far too powerful, of course. The only drawback really is that it has no item slot, but that's nothing compared to all the advantages it has. They nerfed it in Gen 9, to now only have 150 attack, which is still incredibly high, but is less than it was previously. Intrepid Sword is also now only a temporary boost, not a permanent boost. But regardless, Zacian Crown remains one of the strongest Pokemon in Ubers. Anyway, of course, because of all of the advantages it has. I'm sure you're aware. Get out of here, you damn dog. You get out of here. You've had your time yet again. You've had your time again, and I'm done with you. The worst Steel Fairy type probably have to be Mawile. And there's a few Steel Fairy types in the game. I think Mawile is the clear worst. Mawile does have a great Mega Form, but the base form of Mawile is no good. Pretty much entirely because of its very low stats. 50 HP is dreadful. 55 special defense. 85 defense. Low speed, low everything. There's only so much that the Steel Fairy type can do for you when you're not working with very much to begin with. Mawile does have Intimidate, and when you know it, it has Stealth Rock. Here I am again telling you that it has Stealth Rock as if that matters. It's got 55 special defense, folks. It doesn't matter that much that it has Stealth Rock. It's not going to save its life. So many things have Stealth Rock. I have Stealth Rock for all I know. I think you have Stealth Rock. We all have Stealth Rock. We all can summon rocks from the ether and place them on the field for an advantage. I'm pretty sure Bidoof has Stealth Rock. Bidoof. Yep, Bidoof has Stealth Rock. So who cares about having Stealth Rock? Bidoof has it. Folks, thank you very much for watching my video. Sincerely, I have been sitting in this room speaking about Pokemon type combinations for hours. I feel as if I am going insane and my commentary has gotten delirious over time. Forgive me if I'm making no sense in the latter half of this video. I fear that I've lost myself in the act of determining the best and worst of every Pokemon type combination. I fear that I've lost my sense of identity. But regardless, here you are watching to the end, and I appreciate that very much. Tell me all about the information that I got incorrect. You tell me, and I'll adjust for the future, and I'll be better next time if I got anything incorrect. Maybe I got everything right for once. Maybe I was smart in this video, and I made no mistakes. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you for watching.